To Incognito Islamic Productions.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. My name is Kenny Balmer. I'm the author of the book Consider Islam, Disproving the Patriots of Propaganda. As a student of comparative religions, I have studied both Islam and Christianity extensively, and though I don't claim to be a scholar or historian, I pray that with the help of Allah, blessed and exalted is He, I can convey the truth about both religions. It is also my intention to address the slanderous claims of atheists
Islamic
and known
Productions.
Islamophobes from a reasonable and logical
Peace be upon you. My name is Kenny Balmer. I'm the author of the book Consider Islam, Disproving the Patriots of Propaganda. As a student of comparative religions, my intention is to demonstrate why it is that Islam is the fastest growing religion in every country throughout the world. The Pew Research Center says, and I quote, Islam will nearly equal Christianity in its number of followers by 2050.
Welcome to Incognito Islamic Productions.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. My name is Kenny Balmer. I'm the author of the book Consider Islam, Disproving the Patriots of Propaganda. As a student of comparative religions, I have studied both Islam and Christianity extensively, and though I don't claim to be a scholar or historian, I pray that with the help of Allah, blessed and exalted is He, I can convey the truth about both religions. It is also my intention to address the slanderous claims of atheists and known Islamophobes from a reasonable and logical perspective, while distinguishing false and erroneous information from that which is factual regarding the truth and beauty of Islam. My intention is to demonstrate why it is that Islam is the fastest growing religion in every country throughout the world. The Pew Research Center says, and I quote, Islam will nearly equal Christianity in its number of followers by 2050, before eclipsing it around the year 2070 if current trends continue, end of quote. On average, there have been 30,000 new reverts to Islam each year in the United States, most of whom are women, since the infamous 9/11 attacks carried out by those who have been wrongly labeled as Muslims. This rise in followers can be associated with the fact that before the 9/11 attacks, most people had very little knowledge about Islam and seldom heard the word mentioned. But the impact of 9/11 has caused a curiosity to arise in people for various reasons, with one of those being the fallacious desire to understand why and how a religion could cause people to commit murder in the name of that religion. Those who can set aside their fears and prejudices in order to be earnest seekers of the truth will come to the realization that there is nothing in Islam that influences people to commit acts of terrorism or any other type of oppression. This is not to imply that some so-called Muslims never commit acts of terrorism. The fact is, there are people in the world who are willing to use anything that they can in order to achieve and justify their actions in fulfilling their agendas. That includes the use of religion. But nothing in Islam, the Quran, or Hadith, the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, says anything about killing people unjustly or for any other reason other than self-defense or the defense of others. But people have been led to believe differently due to the constant attacks on Islam through various forms of propaganda. The ability to see through the smokescreen of the never-relenting campaign of fear is crucial. One must be capable of understanding that propaganda and the dissemination of false information has, and always will be, utilized to sway the masses. This is done in order to achieve the desired goals of those in power that seem to be determined to normalize bigotry and hatred, as xenophobia combines with Islamophobia, causing division among various groups in society. Once again, my name is Kenny Balmer. I am the author of the book Consider Islam, Disproving the Patriots of Propaganda. If you would like a copy of the book, you can go to Amazon, look up Kenny Balmer, or look up Consider Islam, or you can go directly to my website, kennybalmer.com. Once again, I thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon everyone who's listening. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon everyone who's watching and listening. My name is Kenny Balmer. This is Kenny Balmer Live on Consider This TV, where truth is made clear from falsehood. And before we go any further, I do want to say that I bear witness there's no God other than Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His final servant and the seal of all prophets. Today we're going to be addressing Dr. Bill Warner. We're going to take it slow. We're going to dissect the video that he just released yesterday, claiming that some Muslims in Greece were chopping down some olive trees. And as we proceed with that, we'll see that he's made a bunch of um, grossly disgusting claims and erroneous claims, fallacious claims. He's basically lied when it boils down to it, and we'll get into that as we proceed. So let me take Brother Kareem. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Uh, can you hear me? So, before, and I also want to mention that, of course, we did the intro today. I need to get a third screen. I've got two screens that I'm dealing with, and I need to get a third screen so that it makes the whole process easier. Alhamdulillah. This is a new platform, so we're still learning all the tricks of the trade. But I want to say, send a special thanks to Brother Yahya Balak for with Incognito Islamic Productions for creating the video that we just watched. And Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him for his efforts. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on each and every one of us on the day of judgment. So, Brother Kareem, are you there? Assalamu alaikum.
It's Brother Faisal.
Brother Faisal, Brother Faisal, I'm using my small screen, and if I don't have glasses on, Alhamdulillah.
How are you, brother? You okay?
Brother Faisal, the voice of reason, Alhamdulillah.
How are you, brother? You okay?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna pop. I've logged in, but I need to log out again because it's gonna be Maghrib time now.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I just finished.
So once I finish this, then once I finish on Maghrib, inshallah, I'll be joining you back on the platform, inshallah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to give you a little bit of time because I want you to be able to see this video that we're gonna play. As we talk about Dr. Bill Warner and some claims that he's made in a video that was just released yesterday. He's got over 55, almost 5,600 views since yesterday. He's got a big following, but he's deceiving people. So, brother, go ahead and do your prayer, and we'll proceed from there.
Inshallah, I'll see you back in about 10 minutes, inshallah.
Yeah? Okay, brother. In the meantime, I do want to invite people to check out my book, Consider Islam Disproving the Patriots of Propaganda. You can find it on Amazon, or you can go to my website, KennyBalmer.com, and you could purchase it there if you like. If you'd like to purchase some for dawah to give to non-Muslims, you're welcome to do that as well, inshallah. And I'll give you special rates for that. Go through the website for that. Go through Amazon, of course, the price is set. But if you'd like to buy a number of books for dawah, then please contact me, inshallah. Another thing I would like to encourage people to do is to help with the platform. This is a means to help the da'ih. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said in an authentic hadith, for anyone who helps a da'ih financially or otherwise, you receive the benefit that the da'ih receives without the blessings of the da'ih being diminished in the least. So it's sadaqat jariyah for the day of judgment for anyone that we lead to the truth and the beauty of Islam. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ also said in an authentic hadith, he says, for one person to be guided through you is better than a whole herd of red camels. At the time when it was revealed, red camels were a sign that someone was rich, right? And so it's equivalent today to someone saying, for one person to be guided through you is better than a whole fleet of red Testarossas or whatever car of your choice might be. So it's better than everything that the world provides. It's all for the day of judgment, inshallah. So I encourage you to give to, matter of fact, if you're on YouTube, you can click on the Patreon, link, and you can give a donation there, or you can go to KennyBalmer.com and click on the Dawah Fund and leave a donation there if you see fit. If not, if you just want to give your prayers, alhamdulillah, that's more important than anything. So I encourage you to do that and pray that Allah accepts our efforts to share the truth and the beauty of Islam. And be on the lookout for the second edition of Consider Islam. It should be out by the summer, probably in August. I've been procrastinating a bit. I've got different things that I'm working on, and I've been procrastinating about a couple of chapters that I want to make some slight changes in additions to. And so it should be out by August, I'm believing, inshallah. So that will be the second edition, and also the second book, my second book, Everything's a Test,
Truth is Made Clear from Falsehood. Should be out by the fall, probably by December, inshallah. So be on the lookout for those. And I want to say that I pray that Allah helps everyone who's been affected. Obviously, we've all been affected by the COVID-19 virus. We've been affected in different ways. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps those who are ill right now and their families in coping with it. And people who are struggling financially. It's people going through various tests and trials. Some people are getting aggravated with their family members because they're spending more time around their family than usual. So domestic violence is on the rise. And, so we need to put everything in perspective and learn to appreciate one another's, especially our families. Take this time to grow closer to Allah and to focus on things that, are more beneficial to us than chasing things in the world, alcohol and all those things. What I found disturbing is that in the last couple of days, I've been seeing that the liquor stores are still open, and they're considered essential businesses, I guess. That's mind-boggling to me. I can't fathom how liquor stores would be considered essential businesses to be open. And that's just a sign of the shaitan working in society, leading people astray. So a lot of these people that are committing this domestic violence, maybe they're first going to the liquor store to get some something to cope with the having to look at their spouses or whatever continuously, and then it makes it worse by you start drinking. It makes it worse. So, alhamdulillah, it's quite disturbing. It's not a laughing matter. I just perplexed by the fact that they have these liquor stores open as though it's something that's contributing to society. On the contrary, it's destroying society. It's destroying society, and one person at a time. And so, coming from a family that has had alcoholism in my family, I can say that alhamdulillah, I've never been drunk or high a day in my life. I don't mess with that. But do come from that background, and I've seen firsthand what alcohol and drugs, for that matter, do to families, and to have no room for it in my life. We're going to the show's happening at a different time right now, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're trying to see what time frame would be best for the show. So we're still experimenting. We've got some big plans, which is why, inshallah, if you can give to the Patreon, click on Patreon. As a matter of fact, let me do this just briefly, because we're going to build the platform, and we got some plans that are just simply going to take time, and you can help us by making your contribution, inshallah, God willing. And if you make a contribution, $5 a month, or you can make a one-time donation, go to the website, and you go to the Dawah Fund. There'll be a PayPal link and other means to pay if you'd like. And you can make a donation to help for the Dawah, for us to continue to share the truth and beauty of Islam. Help me with the publishing costs in regards to getting another book cover created, and for the new book, and also for the publishing expenses, dealing with getting the book edited and proofread and all those things. And so for the Patreon, if you click on the Patreon on the YouTube channel, you can become an official patron at $5 a month. That's Sadaqat Jariyah, perpetual blessings for the Day of Judgment for anyone that we influence in a positive way. Also, you'll be invited to be a special guest on Kenny Bowmer Live, Consider This TV. $10 a month will get you, once again, at Sadaqat Jariyah, the most important thing. And you'll also get an autographed copy of my book, Consider Islam, Disproving the Pages of Propaganda, that I'll send directly to you myself. You also become official member of my book launch team, and helping me to choose and make decisions about my second book, Everything's a Test, Truth is Made Clear from Falsehood. And you also receive everything in the previous tier. The third tier is you're a VIP patron at that point, $15 a month, inshallah, and you will receive you will receive an autographed copy of all of my books. Anytime I have a book come out, I'm going to automatically send you a copy of the book, an autographed copy. You also receive the autographed photo if you'd like one, and you'll receive my direct contact number and email so that we can engage in one-on-one discussions. And you also have access to bonus content, things that I've made in the past that, and things that I'm currently making as well that I haven't published yet. So you have access to my full library, and also once again everything in the previous tiers. The main thing being Sadaqat, perpetual blessings for the day of judgment for anyone that we influence in a positive way. There's another authentic hadith by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu which says that for one person to be guided through you is better than the universe and all that it contains. Another authentic hadith, he said it again a third time in a different way. For one person to be guided through you is better than the earth and all that it contains. So this is far more important, guiding people to truth and trying to guide people away from self-destruction and, away from the traps and snares of society. We receive blessings for those. And, so alhamdulillah. So I encourage you to give for the sake of Allah. And once again, if you can't donate financially, then your prayers I need your prayers anyways. Your prayers are crucial and vital. So, inshallah, please submit your prayers. So we do have a Christian that is supposed to be coming on today. We're still waiting on Brother Kareem to come on to the panel. We're waiting for Brother Faisal to come back. And so I'm also working on right now. Let me stop the screen share. I'm working on a series titled Ask a Muslim. It's just short videos, Ask a Muslim, where we're addressing the top 50 questions about Islam. And so I've already created 2 videos. You can check them out on the YouTube channel. What is Islam and what is a Muslim? And all this was compiled by Sahih International, and I'm just simply narrating it. But I think it's a good means to break down some misconceptions and misunderstandings, and answer questions in a short, sweet, concise manner for anyone who is curious. I still have people trying to engage me in debate on social media and on Facebook and various Facebook groups, and they criticize me greatly because I don't waste my time engaging in that. I call it copy and paste land, and I simply don't waste my time there. So I invite anyone who may be listening. I invite you to come on to the panel. Click on the link. Come on to the panel, and we can engage in a civil discussion. It's going to be much more meaningful than trying to type up long responses day in, day out, trying to address the same topics over and over and over again. It's a complete waste of time in my mind. And so today, once again, we're going to be addressing Dr. Bill Warner. If you're not familiar with Dr. Bill Warner, he is he claims that he's an expert in political jihad, not political jihad, but political Islam. He's an expert on political Islam. I'll be honest, I don't think Dr. Bill Warner knows what political Islam is. And nevertheless, we have all these experts on Islam, and you'll see as we proceed with this video that I'm going to play here shortly, you'll see that Dr. Bill Warner has no clue what he's talking about when it comes to Islam. He's just simply a hate monger. He is an Islamophobe, and the unfortunate thing, he's got many followers. Matter of fact, this video that we're going to be watching was just released yesterday, and he's got nearly 5,600 views already, right? And 1,000 likes. And so people are following and listening to people like this, and that's the whole reason why I wrote the book, Consider Islam, breaking down the propaganda that's used to attack Islam in the media. And I don't know what drives people like this, but I encourage you to the whole purpose of this platform is to address these issues, address the common questions that people have, and to encourage people to stop just believing what they see in the media. It's much easier. This man made a 3-minute and 46-second video that nearly 5,600 people have watched. And the things that he says are so distorted and just completely false and incorrect. Well, I'll show you that here in a moment. You know, it's disgusting. You know, these people are believing that what he's saying is true, that he has knowledge that he simply doesn't have. And a lot of the stuff that he's saying is just simply made up nonsense, right? He's also got videos where he's pretending that he's in a lecture. He's in his own living room, you can tell, and he's acting like he's lecturing to people, but he's not. He's also got other videos where you can tell it must be his wife. I would assume his wife is asking him questions as though he's in an interview, but he's not actually in an interview. He just has what I presume has to be his wife, just asking him questions, and he's answering like he's someone of authority. Well, you know, I address these people in my book. I've got a title in my book titled "Media Assassins," and I talk about a number of people who have been presented as though they are experts, so-called experts on Islam, who in fact, the so-called ex-Muslims, by the way, experts on Islam, ex-Muslims that were proven to never have been Muslims in the first place. And so, media assassins. Matter of fact, the opening, I have a quote by James Baldwin from the book Notes of a Native Son. The quote is the very opening of that chapter, and it says, and I quote, this is James Baldwin, it says, "But no one was interested in the facts. They preferred the invention because the invention expressed a corroborate." Let me start over. It says, "But no one was interested in the facts. They preferred the invention because this invention expressed and corroborated their hates and fears so perfectly." Well, yes, that speaks volumes, does it not? These people that have this deep-rooted hatred and xenophobia. If you're not familiar with what xenophobia is, it's fear of people from other lands, other races, people from other nations or other lands. Xenophobia combined with Islamophobia, we've got a concoction for just hate and just evil, right? And so, you know, that's the whole purpose of writing the book. That's why people watching who may see this, I'm not going to debate you via Facebook. I'm just not going to do it. It's copy and paste land. It's a waste of my valuable time. If you want to know what I have to think about any of these topics, well, let's come here and ask me the question directly, or write or read the book. Read the book, and you'll get all the answers you're looking for. I tried to go through and address as many common misconceptions as I possibly could in the book, and that's the whole purpose of writing the book, so I don't have to type it over and over and over again via Facebook or social media. You can also go to my blog. I will answer you via my blog because it keeps everything in a one location, and multiple people can see the same answer over and over again versus different places, different groups on Facebook and all that. It's just a waste of time. Okay, so yeah, so I encourage you, to be a reader and not a repeater. It's very easy, even in copy and paste land, on social media, just to copy and paste things that you've heard about Islam or whatever the topic is, and use that as your, make you an online scholar, I guess. But I encourage you to be a reader instead of a repeater. Whenever you're going to read about a particular topic, go to the source of that topic. Go to the experts in that field, legitimate experts. You don't go to a mechanic if you have a headache or you have symptoms of the flu or COVID-19. You're not going to go talk to your mechanic. You're going to go and talk to a specialist, a doctor that is, equipped to, based on his knowledge, equipped to deal with the issue that you're facing. Okay, so I encourage you to do that. And once again, be a reader instead of a repeater, because you're doing yourself a great disservice by just repeating stuff that you see in the media and following people that are just filled with hate. Like Bill Warner. When we get to this issue here in a moment, I question what drives a man like this. I don't know how old he is, but death is creeping upon us all. And he's obviously got hatred in his heart. Even if he claims that he doesn't, something is driving him to continuously attack Islam on a daily basis. There's so many people out there that do this. What drives them? What drives them? Is it the clicks on the like button? Is it the subscribers? What is it? I have no clue. You know, especially atheists. Atheists don't believe in a creator, but they continue to utilize vast amounts of their time to attack a God that they say they don't believe in, and attack those who believe. What drives them to utilize that much of their time to do that? It has to be hatred. There's something pushing them to do this, right? Like Dr. Bill Warner. Let's take him for example. I'm most assured, and I'm more than confident, that no Muslim has ever harmed him. No Muslim has ever come to him and tried to force anything upon him, try to get him to accept Islam. It just simply has not happened. But he's leading people to believe that it's happening to someone now, or it may happen in the future. And that's the whole purpose behind, you know, this propaganda. It's to instill fear into people, and it's an unjustified fear. That's what makes it a phobia. That's why I refer to these people as Islamophobes, because what is a phobia? It's an irrational fear or an aversion to something. And these people they truly believe that Islam is, that Muslims are trying to come, Islam's trying to come and take over their way of life. And it's simply irrational. It's irrational, right? Alhamdulillah. So, assalamu alaikum, brother Mukad Khan in New York. Alhamdulillah. I see you sent me a message on the YouTube channel. Assalamu alaikum. We're going to get to Dr. Bill Warner. I'm trying to wait for Brother Pfizer to finish his prayer. I do want him to see this, and I'm not sure what happened to Kareem. I was communicating with him earlier today, and I don't know what happened to his Facebook or whatever, but I lost connection with him somewhere along the way. But so we're gonna proceed with some things. Once again, I want to give a good shout out to Brother Yahya Balak, alhamdulillah, with Incognito Islamic Productions for creating a very nice video about the excerpt from the first chapter of the book. A book titled, matter of fact, that chapter of the book is titled "Normalizing Hatred and Bigotry." And so he made a video regarding an excerpt from that book. And so I want to commend the brother, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him for his efforts and intentions. If you're watching on YouTube, please share the link on Facebook and Facebook groups with primarily non-Muslims. If you have any non-Muslims on your Facebook, please share the video, share the link with them, rather. And I encourage you to hit subscribe if you have not hit subscribe thus far. But so we're gonna go into some things here momentarily, and I think I want to give another shout out to Brother Yahya Balak. I'm gonna play this as we wait for the brothers to come on. I'm gonna play this video one more time. It's an excerpt from my book, my first chapter of my book titled "Normalizing Hatred and Bigotry," and this was created by Incognito Islamic Productions, Brother Yahya Balak. Alhamdulillah. So let me share my screen, and we're gonna watch this video and give these brothers time to come in. I don't want to get to the Dr. Bill Warner video quite yet, because I want these brothers to watch this video as we proceed. So let's check this video out again. Alhamdulillah.
Welcome to Incognito Islamic Productions.
My name is Kenny Balmer. I'm the author of the book Consider Islam the Patriots of Propaganda. As a student of comparative religions, I have studied both Islam and Christianity extensively. And though I don't claim to be a scholar or historian, I pray that with the help of Allah, I can convey the truth about both religions. It is also my intention to address the slanderous claims of atheists and non-Islamophobes from a reasonable and logical perspective, while distinguishing false and erroneous information from that which is factual.
Regarding the
My intention is to demonstrate why it is that Islam is the fastest growing religion in every country throughout the world. The Pew Research Center says Islam will nearly equal Christianity in its number of followers by 2050. Around the year 2070, if current trends continue. On average, there have been 30,000 new reverts to Islam each year in the United States, most of whom are women, since the infamous 9/11 attacks carried out by those who have been wrongly labeled as losers. This rise in followers can be associated with the fact that before the 9/11 attacks, most people had very little knowledge about Islam and seldom heard the word mentioned. But the impact of 9/11 has caused curiosity to rise for various reasons, with one of those being the fallacious desire to understand why and how a religion can cause people to commit murder in the name of that religion. Those who can set aside their fears and prejudices in order to be earnest seekers of the truth will come to the realization that there is nothing in Islam that influences people to commit acts of terrorism or any other type of oppression. This is not to imply that some so-called Muslims never commit acts of terrorism. The fact is, there are people in the world who are willing to use anything that they can in order to achieve and justify their actions in fulfilling their agendas. That includes the use of religion, but nothing in Islam, the Quran, or Hadith, the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, says anything about killing people unjustly or for any other reason other than self-defense or the defense of others. People have been led to believe differently due to the constant attacks on Islam through various forms of propaganda. The ability to see through the smoke spreading of the never-relenting campaign of fear is crucial. One must be capable of understanding that propaganda and the dissemination of false information has, and always will be, utilized to sway the masses. This is done in order to achieve the desired goals of those in power that seem to be determined to normalize bigotry and hatred as xenophobia combines with Islamophobia, causing division amongst various groups in society. Once again, my name is Kenny. I am the author of the book Considered Islam, Disproving the Pages of Propaganda. If you'd like a copy of the book, you can go to Amazon, look up Kenny or look up Consider Islam, or you can go directly to my website, KennyBalmer.com. Once again, I thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon everyone. Alhamdulillah. So I want to say once again, send a special thanks to Brother Yahya Balak with Incognito Islamic Productions for creating that video. Once again, it's an excerpt from the first chapter of my book, Consider Islam, Disproving the Pages of Propaganda. So, hey, Brother Faisal, the voice of reason. He was on. he just got disconnected somehow, but I'm sure he'll be right back, inshallah. So yes, so if you notice what I was saying in that excerpt from the book, just trying to basically get people to consider, from the very beginning, where they're getting their information from, trying to encourage people to not just believe everything that they hear. There's propaganda that exists in the world, and we're doing ourselves a great disservice. We're doing other people a great disservice if we just accept what we hear without doing any study and research for ourselves. So that's my intention to break down those stereotypes, answer the misconceptions and misunderstandings to the best of my ability, inshallah. Bring people onto the panel that have knowledge, like Brother Faisal Khan, the voice of reason, and have people come on to help me to address these issues. Brother Faisal, assalamu alaikum. Glad you're back.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, brother? You okay? Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Just a quick word, Brother Kenny. I just wanted to say something. One of my dear childhood friend, stroke brother, who I've known for over 30 years. Unfortunately, his mum passed away yesterday from COVID-19. His name is Imtiaz, and his brother's called Riaz. And It was a very tragic loss, and may Allah grant his mother Jannat al-Firdaus and forgive her for all shortcomings. I mean, just please do dua for her.
Wa inna lillahi wa inna ilahi rajiun.
Jazakallah
Yeah,
khair.
we'll make dua for the family and your friends. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah brother.
Everything's a test. Everything's a test from Allah, and
Yeah.
so we know that Allah. The only situations like that as well. I mean, that I lost my son this past June, last June. Wa inna lillahi wa
Inna
inna
lillahi wa
ilaihi.
inna ilaihi raji'un.
And it's it's a my goodness, it's difficult losing your loved ones. There's no doubt about it. My only solace is that, knowing that Allah is in control. Allah chooses the day that we're born. He chooses the day that we're going to go back to Him. So, alhamdulillah, um, we have to be patient. Every one of us boils down to it. We're all headed that direction. We're all going to, time is short. Time is like ice, just melting away, and we all are on limited time here. And so we got to, what I try to wrap my mind around when everything happened with my son is that I wasn't, first and foremost, I wasn't the only one that had ever felt the way I felt. Right? There've been other people that the day before that happened, that had been through the same experience, and the following day, and right now as we speak, people are going through these different tests and trials, and but Allah tells us, "Be sure we'll test you with fear and hunger, and the loss of lives and property and the fruits of your labor. But we give glad tidings to those who patiently persevere, and who say when affected with calamity, from Allah we come, and to Him is our return. Wa inna lillahi wa inna ilahi rajiun." So I miss my son daily, so I feel for your friends
Yeah.
losing their loved ones. I miss my son on a daily basis, but on a daily basis, numerous times a day, what do I say, Brother Faisal? Wa inna lillahi wa inna ilahi rajiun. I say this so many times a day, um, because I miss my son dearly, and alhamdulillah. But it's we gotta keep fighting. It's part of the tests and trials in this life. It's something that we're all going to experience at some point in our lives, and
Yeah.
it's just a fact of the matter. So, brother Yahya. So, brother, I don't mean to change the subject, brother Faisal. We need to make dua for
No
your
problem. No.
friends. Yeah, no,
Yep.
I don't mean to.
Jazakallah brother.
Alhamdulillah, brother. Yeah, brother Faisal. Did you was you able to see the video that was just playing?
I saw just the last 2-3 minutes of it, but it was really bad crackling sound, so I couldn't really catch hold of it, much of
Oh,
it.
okay. It was playing
Yeah.
clear. Maybe it was just your connection. Maybe. Uh,
Probably, yeah.
But assalamu alaikum, brother Yahya. The video is great. Alhamdulillah. Brother Yahya is with Incognito Islamic Productions. I encourage everyone that may hear this now or in the future to go to the YouTube channel for Incognito Islamic Productions and subscribe and hit like. And brother, the video was great. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khair, brother.
Yeah.
Our brother Kenny and brother Faisal. Hold on.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Doing quite well.
May Allah.
Assalamualaikum brother.
Yeah,
Yes.
alhamdulillah.
So alhamdulillah, inshallah, we're planning to do more videos together, inshallah. So at least our job is, at least I started this channel with brother Akil initially. Our goal was, because most of the argument this Christian brings, alhamdulillah, people have written articles on these things, and alhamdulillah, everything is answered. So
Yeah.
what was my plan is, okay, if our brothers have written reply everything, we just need to bring them on YouTube as well, because
That's
these
right.
Islamophobes that are on YouTube. So alhamdulillah, that's the reason when we started this channel, alhamdulillah, it's been 2 or 3 years. So alhamdulillah, from that time we have answered most of the question, alhamdulillah, why Prophet Muhammad was most of his wives, these kind of tough question, alhamdulillah. And like me and brother Kareem and brother Ibrahim, so it's like a team. Like, alhamdulillah, we've been working, mashallah. So we can also work together. At least we need to bring and put these things on YouTube.
Yeah.
Most of people are into watching these things. At least people can benefit. Alhamdulillah, we have written article. Unfortunately, living in time and age, people don't read most of the time. They love to watch videos. At least this is what we'll do. We'll
Yeah.
bring them on YouTube, and so at least they can benefit. Inshallah, I'm uploading this video on my channel right now. The title of Consider Islam, then normalizing bigotry and hatred. So this is the title, and if you want to upload it, I will also make a beautiful thumbnail for it. So inshallah, you can also upload it on your channel.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
yeah, so inshallah, I will give you. Yeah.
Was you able to see? Was you able to see the? I used it as the intro for today's show. I may
Yeah,
wind up. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I saw it. MashaAllah. At the beginning, if anyone can open this
alhamdulillah.
video, so yeah,
That's great.
inshallah.
Brother, let me ask you. Did you say you work with brother Ankil? I always mess up saying his name. Akil
Brother Akil. Akil Onku, yeah.
Akil Amku. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Radu Shubiyat, right? Alhamdulillah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that brother. I haven't actually had the chance to. Actually, you know what? I have spoken to him. He came on. If you look on the main video when you go to my channel, he's actually was a part of the video. It says Muslim Christian Battle Royale. So yeah, he did join us. Yeah, he did join us. So I've spoken to him one time, alhamdulillah, but it was in the midst of the debate back and forth with the Christians, and so I didn't get to have a personal conversation with him.
No, we will bring him, inshallah, maybe for a debate. I will bring him because, unfortunately, and may Allah make a situation easy for you, is traveling, so here and there, so that's the reason he's busy. And also, we've planned a beautiful art, like mashallah, he's written a beautiful, like a beautiful argument for the proof for Prophet Muhammad, covering before his prophethood, and during his prophethood, and after his prophethood. It's a beautiful series, inshallah. We're trying to make, but he's busy, so that's the reason he's unable to join the show.
Sure, I understand completely. It's I feel like sometimes even with myself, I've got so many different projects going on. I just simply can't. Sometimes I feel like I can't focus. Alhamdulillah. I don't know if it's age or what, but my desire is there, but I just feel like I can't get everything done that I want to get done. But I want to commend you, brothers. Because this is jihad. This is us striving in the cause of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to make a change. First, we make the change within ourselves. So it's an inner jihad, right? The Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that this is the greater jihad, changing ourselves for the better, right? And making a constant effort. And then the lesser jihad is obviously a true battle. But this thing that we're in combating Islamophobia in the world, this is jihad. This is trying to say, you know what? No, wait a minute. You've been deceived by what you've been led to believe. That's the reason I wrote the book. Instead of there was a point where I was engaging in so many online debates via Facebook and these Facebook groups and all that. It was just too much. I was spending so much time during the day trying to address all these issues, and I find myself addressing the same issue over and over and over again. And so that's why I wanted to make sure I got the book written, and I tried to cover all those points that are most commonly addressed in the book. And then my oldest son that passed away, he told me, Dad, you need to make a YouTube channel. I was like, I don't know if anybody wants to hear anything I've got to say. He said, well, you're so passionate and you're always talking about Islam. You should make a YouTube channel. Just see what happens with it. So, alhamdulillah, here we are. It's a means to when we're, we were just talking about Brother Faisal. He's got some friends that had some relatives pass away due to COVID-19, and we're all going to pass away. But the beauty of it is that based on the mercy and the grace of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, Rahman Rahim, He blesses us even after we pass away for anyone that we guide to anything good. So brothers, creating these videos, coming on and trying to address the issues and talking to atheists and talking to Christians and trying to share Islam with other people. Every one of us are so vital and very crucial, and it is a team. We've got to be a team. Individually, you got to set your mark. You got to do what you need to do. But Allah says in the Quran to compete with one another as if in a race doing good, righteous deeds. And so when I see brothers like Brother Akil Amku, right, and Brother
Brother Faisal, the voice of reason, and Brother Kareem with his beautiful recitation of the Quran, and and Brother Ijaz and Mustafa, and just the passion of all the brothers that I interact with, it makes me want to do more, right? Want to do more, because we feed off of one another. We should. We have a responsibility and an obligation and opportunity as Muslims to share the truth and the beauty of Islam. So, brothers, I want you to know how much I love and cherish every one of you, and how valuable you are to me. And I don't say these things lightly. I'm not just talking just to be talking. I mean it when I say it. And you encourage me, alhamdulillah. So, Brother Kareem, I see you finally made it in. Let me make sure.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Brother,
Do you see me?
Yeah, we can see you. We can see you. You look like the ghost of the Christmas past.
I know, and
No,
that's
no, it's pretty cool. I don't know why it does that on yours. Um, I think it may be you using the camera from your laptop.
yes.
Yeah. So maybe the closer you get, mine does it. It's like the book. Let me see. Right now, it's not doing it. But sometimes when I'm trying to show certain things, now there it is. It'll depending on where I get, it does the same thing. Let's just zoom in, alhamdulillah. So, brothers, I don't know if you're familiar with. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Bill Warner. Have any of you heard this name before?
No.
Yes,
You
I
have?
know him.
You know him, okay. Okay, so Dr. Bill Warner is a supposed expert on political jihad, right? Dr. Bill Warner, on the other hand, he's got videos on his channel that we're going to talk about some things. He produced a video yesterday. We'll get into that in a second, but just to give you a little bit of background, I've watched a number of Bill Warner's videos. I've actually tried to contact him to schedule a debate with him, but there's been no response. But he's got videos on his channel where you can tell that he's in his living room and he's trying to present himself as though he's giving a lecture, but you can tell that he's not. There's probably no one else there's no one in the living room, but he's in the living room. But he's trying to act like he's giving a lecture. Okay, and then he's got other videos where you can tell that it's most likely his wife that's asking him questions as though he's being interviewed. But it's just it's so it's not real. It's just insane. So, but I'm gonna play the video that he released just yesterday. And what bothers me is that since yesterday, it's got nearly 5,600 views and it's got over 1,000 likes. And but the things that he says, brothers, when you hear it, it speaks for itself. When you know the truth, when you know the truth, you know that the things that he's saying is just so absurd. And we're gonna address this, but I'm also going to demonstrate and prove that the man is lying. Okay, and I'm going to prove that he is. For one, he's a known Islamophobe. There's no question about it. He attacks Islam on a day in, day out basis. And I don't know what his religious beliefs are. I have no clue. But he doesn't, all he ever talks about is Islam, political Islam. He talks very bad about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Obviously, he talks bad about Allah, and it's on a day in, day out basis. I don't know how old this gentleman is, and we're all growing old, but it's like, what drives people to spend so much of their valuable time, attacking other people and their beliefs? And I know I never talked to the man, right, personally, but I bet everything that I have. I don't bet that I'm a Muslim, but just a figure of speech. But the fact of the matter is, I'm most assured that no Muslim or any group of Muslims have ever approached this man or anyone that he knows and has oppressed him in any form or fashion, trying to force him to accept Islam or whatever. But he is instilling fear into people through these that video from yesterday, 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes and 46 seconds or whatever it was. It says so many incorrect things in the course of it that that people are listening to, and they're taking him as an authority, and they're believing he's leading these people astray. And I don't know what drives these people. I really don't. I really don't. But I'll tell you this, those types of people are what drives me. Dr. Bill Warner drives me. Christian Prince drives me. David Wood, Sam Shimon, keep it up, because all you're doing is allowing us opportunity, like the brother Yahya just said a moment ago, for us to create videos, for us to various platforms and correct these misconceptions and misunderstandings. So you're actually, Dr. Bill Warner and people like him, you're doing yourselves a great disservice, because every time you mention Islam, someone is looking up the truth. Not everyone is going to follow blindly like some lost sheep. Some people are going to actually engage in seeking the truth. I always tell them to be a reader and not a repeater. They're not going to repeat the nonsense that you're saying. Some people, by the will of Allah, they're going to actually stop and say, wait a minute, let me look into this Muslim thing, because I've got Muslim people that I know. Matter of fact, my doctor is a Muslim. And I know Muslims in my community that they don't seem to be these big bad guys that you're trying to make them all out to be with these blanket generalizations. So you drive me, Dr. Bill Warner. And so, brothers, let me play this video, and we'll proceed from there in the conversation. Initially, I want to get your response to it, and then I'm gonna break some things down as we proceed. So let me bring it up, inshallah, and we will take it from there. Bear with me 1 second as I share this other screen. I need to get a third screen is what I need to do. But inshallah. Okay, brothers, tell me, can you see a blue screen right now? Okay. Okay, so it says at the bottom, the name of his video is the Jihad of Killing Crops. Okay. The Jihad of Killing Crops. Okay. So I'm sure you brothers already know that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, do not destroy any fruit-bearing trees. Right? We already know that. So this Jihad of Killing Crops, let's get into this video. Listen to what this man said. All right, here we go. Make sure, hold on 1 second. Let me make sure that this is, okay, it is. Okay, so let's analyze with this Dr. Bill Warner, the so-called expert on political jihad. Let's see what he has to say.
I would like to talk to you about the destruction of crops as a form of jihad. I read this in the Greek City Times talking about the island of Lesbos. They have many illegal Muslim immigrants there. They've recently started cutting down olive trees, and they've cut down 5,000 olive trees. Now you need to know something about olive trees to know what a disaster this is. It takes 70 years after you plant your first olive tree for it to start bearing fruit. And this is a big commercial product. Greece sells $700 million worth of olives every year, and it's an important part of their economy. Now, why did these Muslims cut down and burn the olive trees? Well, I've been explaining to people for the last 20 years why Muslims do it, anything they do, and it always has the same answer. Allah commands it, and Muhammad did it. Let's give an example. Muhammad attacked the town of Al-Taif, and he failed in his attempt to conquer the city. So instead, he went and cut down all their grapevines because that was their main commercial crop, so he destroyed them. This is a form of economic warfare. There's an interesting sidebar to this attack on the city. One of the jihadists said he was really disappointed because he was looking forward to having a female slave in the city because they were noted for their intelligence, and therefore he could breed her like a brood cow and have an intelligent son. The Quran uses the term "those whom your right hand possesses," and it refers to those taken in captivity.
Brother, pause it quick. I have a question.
Except he can't have sex with her when she's pregnant or having her period. And she's a kafir. So it doesn't make any difference what she thinks or feels about this whole process of being treated as a brood cow.
You can pause it, correct?
It's just, she's the lower floor.
It's right now, but go ahead.
The best thing to do is actually to pause it point by point, because
The thing is, he's making so many false claims point by point. We're not going to remember it all. It's best to really show point by point his deception.
Yeah, no, I plan to do that, but I wanted to let y'all hear what he had to say initially, and then
and then we rewind. Okay, absolutely. Sorry, brother. Sorry, I didn't know. Sorry.
No, I've got all the points broke down.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry about that. Jazakallah khair. Yeah, because you know how many things he's saying already. You know,
the whole slew of them. Machine gun nonsense. The machine gun lies.
Yes. I couldn't control myself. I'm listening to this guy.
When I seen it, I was like, "Oh, that's the next show."
Okay, sorry about that. All right, I'm listening.
I'm going to start it over because I see Brother Mustafa. Assalamu alaikum, brother. He just came in, and I want him to see the whole thing. I'm sure he's going to get fired up about this nonsense.
Okay, absolutely. Take some notes.
Yeah,
all right.
Let me start it over, and then we'll. But I don't blame you for wanting to interrupt it because it's. If you get bogged down, and that's their tactics. These people are listening, and we got Jamie in. Good, let Jamie come in, and let her hear this as well. That way she can relate to the Islamophobia. These people, when I call them Islamophobes, they don't like hearing it, but they prove themselves to be Islamophobes, right? So Jamie, I see that you joined the panel. We're talking about Dr. Bill Warner today. I started playing the video, and Kareem was so disturbed by it that he wanted me to stop it. That way we can address point by point, which I understand completely. We're going to get to the point, each point that he makes. But I'm going to play this video so that we can analyze what he said. Then I want to get each of your response from that. Everyone on the panel, I want to hear what you have to say about that, inshallah. So I'm going to share it again, and we'll proceed from there. This so-called expert on political Islam, Dr. Bill Warner. All right, here we go. So I'm going to make sure everyone's on mute. That way we're okay. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to play it again. Bear with me, it's stuck right now.
I'd like to talk to you about the destruction of crops as a form of jihad. I read this in the Greek City Times, talking about the island of Lesbos. They have many illegal Muslim immigrants there. They have recently started cutting down olive trees, and they've cut down 5,000 olive trees. Now, you need to know something about olive trees to know what a disaster this is. It takes 70 years after you plant your first olive tree for it to start bearing fruit. And this is a big commercial product. Greece sells $700 million worth of olives every year, and it's an important part of their economy. Now, why do these Muslims cut down and burn the olive trees? Well, I've been explaining to people for the last 20 years how Muslims do it. Anything they do, it always has the same answer. Allah commands it, and Muhammad did it. Let's give an example. Muhammad attacked the town of Al-Taif, and he failed in his attempt to conquer the city. So instead, he went in and cut down all their grapevines and their big commercial crops and destroyed them. This is a form of economic warfare. There's an interesting sidebar to this attack on the city. One of the jihadists in the city was disappointed because he was looking forward to having female slaves in the city because they noted for their intelligence, and therefore he could make her like a cow and have an intelligence on. And it refers to those.
Kenny, the sound is cracking up. The sound is cracking up.
Except he can't have sex with him.
We can't hear it.
Okay. I wonder why. Okay,
now, point by point, I can understand him if you want to pause it in the beginning and I'll just say what he just said. I mean, it's understandable once you get a rough hearing of it. But
it gets worse than that. Let me try to pick it up right here and just let me know if it's cracking up again.
Okay.
You brothers got to hear all of it. It gets worse.
And Muhammad did it.
Okay.
Let's give an example.
Better.
Muhammad attacked the town of Al-Taif, and he failed in his attempt to conquer the city. So instead, he went and cut down all their grapevines because that was their main commercial crop, so he destroyed them. This is a form of economic warfare. There's an interesting sidebar to this attack on the city. One of the jihadists said he was really disappointed because he was looking forward to having a female slave from the city because they were noted for their intelligence, and therefore he could breed her like a brood cow and have an intelligent son. The Quran uses the term those whom your right hand possesses, and it refers to those taken in captivity. And so he can do anything he wants to with his female slave, except he can't have sex with her when she's pregnant or having her period. And she's a kafir. So it doesn't make any difference through the whole process. He can't capture and treat it as a brood cow. It's just she's a form of his existence, and Allah doesn't care. Let's take another case. When Muhammad went to Medina, it was half Jewish with 3 tribes. They did not agree that he was the prophet of Allah, and therefore he was their enemy. He attacked this particular tribe of Jews and failed his attack. They went in force. And so what did he do? He cut down and burned the date palm trees because they were date palm farmers. And they condemned
I guess it's cracking up a little bit now.
Condemned such things as being morally wrong in the past, and now then you're doing it yourself.
Okay.
Palm trees because they were date palm farmers. They condemned him because they said you condemn such things as being morally wrong in the past, and now then you're doing it yourself. So Muhammad had a public relations problem, and Allah solved it for him in the Quran, verse 5 of chapter 59. It was Allah who gave you permission to cut down or spare their palm trees so that he might humiliate the evildoers, the Jews. Now let's go back to the cutting of olive trees. This is not merely an economic war, it is a civilizational war. The Greeks have been growing and selling olives for 4,000 years. They use olive leaves on the Olympic crown of athletes, and they use olive leaves in the wedding crowns at marriages. So this is part of their deep heritage. This is an attack on the Greek heritage. But let's move to America. Islamic State has commanded its jihadis in America to create forest fires because Muhammad burned trees, and it's an economic warfare. So why do Muslims destroy the property of Kafirs, whether they're olive trees or anything else? Muhammad did, and Allah commands it. If you're interested in studying jihad, details that you will not find in the mainstream media, I highly recommend that you go to vladtepsblog.com, where I got this article. Thank you.
All right. So, okay, let me make sure this video doesn't keep playing here. Bear with me 1 second, make sure it stopped. It seems that it did. Okay, so we'll start with Kareem. And all right, brother, what's your initial response to that nonsense?
I think that I'm gonna listen to whoever comes before me just because I want to take note of what they said. Maybe they got more than what I got from him because he said so much. And it's,
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so brothers, I've heard what he said. I heard this video before as well, but not in this context. But I'm just gonna quote something, my brothers, and I think this quotation will probably diminish everything that he said. This is from Muwatta Malik, book 21, hadith number 10, and it goes like this. Do not, can you hear me? Is it still playing? What, something's still playing here. Okay. And the hadith goes like this. Yeah, hadith goes like this. Do not kill women or children.
Welcome to another edition of Mormon Stories podcast. I'm your host, Sean Berlin. It is April 6th, 2018. A very auspicious day in the world of Mormonism. And we are so very excited to have with us our current guest, Dr. Bart Ehrman. I'm going to just take a leap and say that...
Take the screenshot off, Kenny, and just mute yourself. Yeah.
We think they are.
Yeah, it's the...
I think if you take the whole screenshot off and screen sharing off on YouTube, is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Okay, so I'm just quoting this hadith, and this will dismantle everything, so we don't have to even continue with Dr. Bill. Do not kill women or children or an aged infirm person. Do not cut down fruit-bearing trees Do not destroy an inhabited place. Do not slaughter sheep or camel except for food. Do not burn bees and do not scatter them. Do not steal from the booty and do not be cowardly. This hadith itself completely destroys everything that he said. So there's no more argument to it. Khalas. He's saying that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went to Taif with his companions and they were cutting down trees for economic purpose. He doesn't have no sources, anything to prove himself. This is it. Khalas. His game is over. This is what I'm saying, that this is what these cheap apologists, what does he say at the end? He said, I took everything from something vlog or whatever like that, find it there. Is that Islamic history? Vlog?
Yeah, I'm gonna show you where he got his information here in a moment. You'll see it's Greek City News.
Is that where he got his information? Is this a doctor, PhD? Yeah. He's speaking like that? I got it from this, if you don't believe me. What?
Yeah. We're gonna show you that here in a second. But in regards to this, if you see, I've got Sahih Bukhari, volume 4, book 52, hadith 257. It says, narrated by Abdullah, during some of the Ghazawat of the Prophet, a woman was found killed. Allah's apostle disapproved the killing of women and children. And this is the quote. It says, I advise you 10 things. Do not kill women and children or an aged, infirm person. Do not cut down fruit-bearing trees. Do not destroy an inhabited place. Do not slaughter sheep or camels except for food. Do not burn bees and do not scatter them. Do not steal from the booty and do not be cowardly. Yahya related to me. Yeah, same one, right? Yahya related to me from Malik, from the Ibn Shihab, that a son of Ka'b, Ibn Malik, Malik believed that Ibn Shihab said it was Abd al-Rahman Ibn Ka'b. He said, the messenger of Allah, may Allah be pleased with him and grant him peace, forbade those who fought Ibn Abi Hukaik, a treacherous Jew from Medina, to kill women and children. He said that one of the men fighting had said, the wife of Ibn Abi Hukaik began screaming, and I repeatedly raised my sword against her. He says, then I would remember the prohibition of the messenger of Allah, may Allah be pleased with him, grant him peace. So I would stop. He said, had it not been for that, I would have been rid of her. So yeah, I mean, so we know as Muslims that the declaration was that you don't kill any women or children, you don't destroy any religious structures, you don't kill any
elderly people,
any
animals, sheep, herds, fruit-bearing trees, nothing. You don't annihilate the city, like the Bible said, Deuteronomy 20. Anything in the city inhabited, destroy the entire city. Deuteronomy 20:16, entire city, destroy it. 1 Samuel 15, kill the men, women, children, even the sheep, the goats, even the animals. Because Saul, God himself was upset with Saul because he left a few animals. Could you believe that? Not that he did destroy the city, because he left a handful of sheep or something and he brought with him. And then God said, didn't I order you to kill him? He said, well, yeah, I actually got them for you. No, I ordered you to kill him over there. So he was upset with Saul because of that, or Saul would have been a champion. Saul would have overruled David if that was the case. So yeah, I see the issue. Kenny, if you can make me co-host, brother.
Okay. Do y'all see the screen that I have up right now?
Yeah, Afghan migrants court.
Right. So this is where he got it from, Greek City Times, and you'll find if you Google Greek City Times, you see that it's in cahoots with Jihad Watch, right, by Robert Spencer.
Oh, okay, Robert Spencer's one.
Yeah, it's all in cahoots.
Yeah,
okay, yeah. But notice what this says. It says Afghan migrants caught chopping down olive trees, and I want to show you something. So watch very closely. So as we go through this. Okay, so for one, it says some days ago it was revealed that 5,000 olive trees were cut by illegal immigrants from the infamous Moria migrant camp on the Greek island of Lesbos in eastern Aegean. It doesn't say anything about Muslims, for one. Let's make that clear. Sure, there might be Afghan migrants, but it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say anything about being Muslim, for one. Okay, so it says, as reported by Greek City Times yesterday, the fruit of the olive tree is an integral part of the Greek history, culture, heritage, and identity. Greece, since the Bronze Age, have been producing and exploiting olives and olive oil, effectively meaning that olives have been a critical part of Greek economy for at least 4,000 years. The man was reading directly from this, right on this part. And chopping down trees is seen as an attack on Greek heritage and identity. Okay, so it says in an article yesterday, photos of the desecrated olive grove were published. However, videos have emerged of some of the trees being chopped down by illegal immigrants in a separate incident. Now watch this. Y'all can see that. Y'all can see this right here.
Yeah.
Okay, watch
Play,
this.
please.
Bear with me 1 second. Let me make sure. Bring it back.
Just press that. Yeah.
Okay, what? Hold on 1 second. Watch. You see it? That's it.
Are you serious?
No, brother, I'm not. Yeah.
No, serious. Is that it?
That's it, brother. Look.
They don't even look Afghani. They look Greek to me.
No.
Look at the lady wearing. Is it a lady or something wearing shorts? Afghans don't wear shorts. They wear. You know what?
Yeah, boy, there's really getting some trees cut down with it. It looks like he's got a hammer.
Not even a tree. It's you know what? Yeah, astaghfirullah. This deception. This is what I'm saying. Deception is okay in their faith, in Christianity or in Judaism, wherever the Bible is okay. You can be deceptive. And this is exactly deception. Look at that. They're promoting this to say all that long thing Dr. Bill Warner, whatever his name is, said about Islam. And look at the end what happened. He got caught out. His sources was this vlog or whatever. Subhanallah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Yes. Another thing I want to just make a point of, which you mentioned in the video about when the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he went to Taif.
Yeah.
He seemed to forget that when he was attacked by those people of Taif, Angel Gabriel, Jibril, appeared to him and said, if you want, I can destroy them, within minutes. I could crush it, basically. Yeah. And what was the response of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? He says, no.
Maybe there'll be believers from them. Yeah.
Believers from here. So you try to tell me that by cutting down trees in Taif to deprive the people of Taif some food, does it make any sense when you could have had them destroyed?
News, Faisal, that was a great point. Subhanallah, Jazakallah for bringing this hadith up. This hadith meaning this event, this true event that happened to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Jazakallah khair for bringing it up. You've just literally dismantled everything that he said. Khalas, finish, end of.
And this man has got over 5,600 views or whatever.
Yeah,
it's just unbelievable.
But look at the major work that's being done on these trees here. You see this? I mean, come on, are you kidding me? Can you see it?
Yeah.
This is the video that they're claiming. So it says as part of Greece's battle against the coronavirus pandemic, the county is in full lockdown. Blah blah blah. It says according to the resident who stopped the Afghan migrants from chopping down these particular trees, police officers manning roadblocks in the area are requesting written permission for citizens to visit their own farmland as part of the lockdown laws in Greece. But
wait, hold on.
So it never says anything about Muslims. And you can see this guy looks like he might be sculpting something, or he might be.
But you know what, Kenny? Kenny, to me, it doesn't even look like a man. The man, obviously, with the red or the orange top looks a man, but that looks like a lady to me.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's the figure as well. Like just from because it's pixelated as well, you can't see much. But it's like she's got two things in her hand. She's not only got a hammer. Or something, she's got another I don't know, something else that she's trying, a stake or something that she's trying to just. It doesn't look like a farm to me as well. Look at the state of that doesn't look like a farm to me.
No,
that looks like more like a park or something. And
it looks like the person is nailing something up.
Nailing something there, yeah. And so, like I said, they don't look Afghanis. Afghanis don't even dress like that. And they're so pixelated, you can't even tell. That could be in America. That could be in UK. That could be anywhere. How do we know it's in France?
He also brought up chapter 59 of the Quran, alhamdulillah, verse 5. And we know that's Surah Al-Hasr. And so it says, it says, it does say 59:5, it says, whatever palm trees you believers cut down or left standing intact, it was all by the will of Allah, so that he might disgrace the rebellious. Okay, so if you look at the tafsir, what's being stated here, I'm reading out of the Clear Quran, the translation Clear Quran, and it says, the Prophet, peace be upon him, had instructed the Muslim army not to cut down trees, but some soldiers had to remove some palm to be able to enter the fort, to the dismay of Banu Nadir, and says when Muslims disagreed on the act, the verse was revealed. So obviously the Muslims, the Muslims weren't even in that situation. They weren't just cutting down the trees just to waste them. They were in a battle situation. They were trying to get to the fort, and they were removing trees in order to get to the fort. They're in a battle.
And the Clear Quran, the Clear Quran translation goes by saying, whether you cut down a tree or leave it standing on its trunk, it is by God's will. Surely, He will surely disgrace the sinners. You have to understand that the climate as well, like you said, of during the time of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he had enemies everywhere. And
yeah, so let's put this in perspective. If we have a tree that's being uprooted by itself, I'm just using this as an example, and it may fall on someone, it may fall on property, it may hurt someone, and you have to chop the tree down. Well, it's only logical, right? And I'm saying the reason I bring this up and use that example is because in some instances, trees might need to be cut down, but you're not doing it for the sake of just trying to. He calls it economic jihad, right? They're trying to affect them and their heritage and all those things, making claims that they're trying to attack their heritage and using the economic jihad, which is just totally absurd.
okay, so brother Kenny, like you said, I'm just going to refer to the tafsir, which says in reference to this is to the fact that the Muslims cut down or burnt many of the palm trees that stood in the oasis around the settlement of Bani an-Nadir in order to facilitate the siege. However, they left those trees standing, which did not obstruct the military operation. As at this, the hypocrites of Al-Madinah and Bani Qurayza and the Bani an-Nadir themselves raised a clamor, saying that on that the hand of Muhammad, peace be upon him, prohibited spreading disorder in the world, but on the other hand, fruit trees were being cut down by his command, which amounted to spreading disorder in the world. At this, Allah sent down the command: whatever tree you cut down or whatever you left standing, your neither act was unlawful, but it had Allah's permission. The legal injunction that is derived from this verse is that the destruction caused for the sake of military operation does not come under spreading disorder in this world, but spreading disorder in the world is that of an army under the fit of a war hysteria should intrude into the enemy territory and start instruction, so and so, so and so. And again, it says which Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu gave while dispatching the Muslims to Syria. Do not cut down fruit trees, do not destroy crops, do not ravage settlements. This was precisely in accordance with the Quran teaching, which condemns those who spread chaos when they have power, when they get power. Again, let me finish. When they get power, they direct all their efforts towards the spreading corruption in the land, destroying harvests and killing people. Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat 205. So, subhanAllah, this has been explained beautifully in the Quran by tafsir. We don't have a problem. This is perfect. There is no destruction there.
Let me say something. Let me say something really quickly, if I can, brother. You want to complete your thought? You complete your thought. Then
but Jazakallah, go ahead, brother Kareem.
Barakallah fiqh. So what I want to say is this. I want to put one thought in the viewer's mind. Look at how, if this man was wanting some type of rectification in the earth, to stop violence, to have peace, notice how he didn't say in the beginning of the video or the end that this is maybe an explanation of what he thinks. However, we should love our Muslim neighbor, and the likes of that. Why? Because by itself, this video is only there. What could only put a bad taste in the mouth of the viewers, especially Christians, against Muslims. So you could kind of tell just from him not taking that precaution, he's supposed to be an intellectual, to think the future ramifications of one's actions. He, without concern of how people are just going to take this and say, oh, I guess Muslims are a bunch of savages, right? And what happens when people become a bunch of savages? Then no one cares if their blood is spilled. So he's a great example. Just looking at the details around what he placed in the videos, you can tell that he's not sincere, not sincerely wanting peace on the earth, because he's only putting out a image about Muslims. And for me, for example, if I were going to come at Christianity in any sort of way, you want to preempt that, speech with some type of, some type of clarification of why you're saying that you want peace between us, you love your Christian, anything like that. But it was totally free of that type of speech. So that's a big warning sign for Christians who are sincere. He's only making people, just at the very least, it's irresponsible for him to put a video up like that and then not even clarify whether he wants this video to be understood in a way that we should kind of get up in arms against Muslims, or what is going on? What does he want
Brother
the
Kenny,
result to be?
He's what? He's like 79, 8 years old. He's demented now. Brother Faisal, can I just ask you, can you rate some of the Old Testament violences that speaks about destroying the entire city and all of that?
I've got some right here, brother.
Yeah, I mean, one of them's 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse number 2 and 3, where God's asking Samuel to tell Saul to go and kill every single man, woman, child, infant.
Brother Faisal, let me read it because I have it right here. Also, Numbers 31:17. So I'll start at 31:17. Numbers 31:17 and 18. It says, "Now kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourselves every girl who has never slept with a man." Also, 1 Samuel 15:2 and 3, it says, "This is what the Lord Almighty says: I will punish the Amalekites for what they did to Israel when they waylaid them as they came up from Egypt. Now go attack the Amalekites and totally destroy everything that belongs to them. Do not spare them. Put to death men, women, children, and infants, cattle and sheep, camels, and donkeys." Alhamdulillah. So, yeah, I mean,
that's the great double standard.
Yeah.
Anything that they can bring from any hadith will always be minuscule when compared to what happened in the Old Testament. But their principle is that if God wills it, then who can stand against that?
Yeah.
Just one thing I wanted to add to that is that a lot of Christians will say, well, that's the Old Testament, not the New Testament. Well, we can advocate the killing of children also in the New Testament, Matthew chapter 15, verse number 4, when Jesus is telling the Jews that how come you're not following the tradition where if a child is disobedient to their parents, they should be killed.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Listen, could I be serious for 1 second? If that type of verse, and no disrespect to the Christian listeners, but if I were, and I've read the Quran several times, the entire book, if I were to find a verse like that in the Quran, I would seriously rethink my faith. Really, you cannot find anything like that within the Quran. And no disrespect to Christians, I still believe that God's word is contained in the Bible. However, that's a very concerning verse.
Another thing that Bill Warner brings up in that video, which is crucial, needs to be addressed, is his comments about sex slaves. In Surah An-Nisa, he's addressing Surah An-Nisa, but he's taking everything out of context. And so I'm reading from the Clear Quran. Once again, a translation from the Clear Quran, just a translation, alhamdulillah, for those who don't know. But it says quite plainly, "Also forbidden to you for marriage are your mothers, your daughters, your sisters, your paternal and maternal aunts, your brothers, daughters, and sisters' daughters, your foster mothers, your foster sisters, your mothers-in-law, your stepdaughters under the guardianship, if you have consummated marriage with their mothers. But if you have not, then you can carry them, you can marry them, nor the wives of your own sons, nor two sisters together at the same time, except what was done previously. Surely Allah is all forgiving, most merciful." And it says, "Also forbidden to you," it says also in verse 24, "Also forbidden are married women except female captives in your possession." This is what Allah commands you. So let's clarify what the stipulation is. And I'll read what the tafsir says here, but just plainly and simply, it's talking about it says forbidden for you in marriage are such and such, such and such, right? These particular women. But then it says in verse 24, it says also forbidden are married women except female captives in your possession. So plain and simply, this is simple to understand. So let's clarify. Before the Prophet Muhammad SAW began receiving revelation of the Quran, women were a commodity. They were seen around the Kaaba in Mecca naked. They were used as currency. If one man owed a debt to another man, he would just give him his wife, replace the wife, and the women were nothing. We know that the infant females were buried upon birth, and so plain and simply, what Allah is stipulating is in the midst of a war situation, um, there's going to be captives, but those captives are to be treated justly. So it's saying, forbidden to you are all these women, but it says except those. It says except those in verse 24. Also forbidden are married women. Obviously, you can't marry someone who's already married, except for female captives in your possession. Those who are your right hand possesses is what some translations say. But what this amounts to is that in the midst of the war, there were some female captives that were taken. Okay, but they weren't utilized as sex slaves. Islam did away with that. Islam completely and utterly did away with sex slaves, right? So Allah put stipulation on this issue, stating that these women were okay for marriage as long as certain things were met. One, the women had to agree to the marriage. The women had to, for one, these women, let me clarify, these women were either abandoned because of the war that took place or their husbands were killed. So now these women are left just to fend for themselves. And so the Muslims were protecting them for a period, and they also had the opportunity to marry these women. But the women had to agree to this. They also had to be given a dowry. Okay, so they could not have, the Muslims could not have sex with these women until they were married, plain and simply. And they could marry these women because these women, their husbands were gone, or the husbands abandoned them because of the war, or their husbands died in the war. Okay, so there's no wrongdoing here. If women of that time, especially, if women of that time were left to fend for themselves, then indeed there's a great possibility that they would be utilized as sex slaves, not by the Muslims, but by someone. And they would also turn to prostitution and all those things in order to try to find ways to take care of themselves. So Islam did away with it, Dr. Bill Warner. You're grossly mistaken. Don't attempt ever again, Dr. Bill Warner. When you hear this, and when your listeners hear this, they're going to hear it, they're going to respond. When you hear this, I encourage you to be readers instead of repeaters. Don't repeat the nonsense that you've heard. Instead, go to legitimate sources, study, engage, spend time, instead of jumping to these erroneous conclusions that you have no reason talking about, other than you're trying to spread hatred and division. And like Brother Kareem said, if it wasn't so, and I'll go to Brother Faisal, the voice of reason, here in a second. If it just like Brother Kareem said, if it wasn't the intention to spread hatred, then comments should have been made, saints stating otherwise. But there's no statements like that. Video after video after video, this man is attacking Islam. He's perpetrating himself, presenting himself as an authority, an expert on political jihad, political Islam. He's having his wife do mock interviews for him. He's standing in his living room pretending that he's giving a lecture to people, but you can tell, I don't know what's on his mind, what he's thinking. You can tell that he's in his living room. There's no one there, Dr. Bill Warner. We know that there's no one there, but you're just making a fool of yourself, especially when you're trying to talk about matters of which you have no true knowledge. Go ahead, Brother Faisal.
Yeah, Jazakallah, Brother Kenny. Very quickly, I just wanted to, he's he's very quick to attack the Quran with some verses like this, but he's failing to just forget that these sort of verses are also mentioned in the Bible. For example, if you read Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse number 14, well, it starts from 13, and when the Lord your God gives it to you in your hands, you shall put all as males to the sword. So basically, kill all the men. But the women and the little ones, the cattle, and everything else in the city, all its spoil, you shall take as booty for yourself, and you shall enjoy the spoil of your enemies, which the Lord your God has given you.
What
Just
verses
one.
is that, brother?
That's in Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse number. Uh, if you start from say 12 to 14, okay, and there's another verse in Deuteronomy chapter 21 where it clearly states here, um,
What
when
was
you
that
go
verse?
for.
Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry. What
So
was that?
I'll just give you the verse now for the other ones. Verse Deuteronomy chapter 20, yeah,
Okay.
and verse number 13 to 14.
Okay.
Right. So that's 20, verse number 13 to 14, and also in Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse number 14, it says, sorry, where are we? Yes.
I'm sorry, brother.
Yes, sorry, it's Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse number 11. When you go forth to war against your enemies, and the Lord your God gives them into your hands, and you take them as captives, and see among the captives a beautiful woman, and you have desire for, and would take her for yourself as a wife. Then you shall bring her home to your house, and you shall shave her head and pare her nails.
Oh, wow.
Right. So before this, what's his name? Dr. Rob Warner.
Yeah.
So before he sits there in front of wearing that silly bow tie and and make a mockery out of Islam and the Quran, he should read his own book and find out exactly what their God of their Bible is actually commanding those people who are at war to do with their captives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Alhamdulillah.
So I'll just reiterate it again for you, Brother Kenny, and for the viewers. It's Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse number 11, and Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse number 13 to 14.
It sounds, Brother Faisal, like someone, whoever wrote these verses, was really trying to stress the emphasis of taking these women as captives to the point that they're going to repeat it just in the next chapter of Deuteronomy. Right?
Subhanallah.
I mean, come on. Come on. So, alhamdulillah. Like Brother Kareem said, there's nothing in the Quran like this. They take stuff out of context that they have no clue what's going on. They try to explain it. And these 5,600 people, nearly 5,600 people,
Right.
that have viewed that video since just yesterday, think this man is an authority. They really think he's an authority. Go ahead, Brother Kareem. I see you trying to say
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Here's the total refutation. There's two things he's trying to do here. If you think about it logically, what he wants to do by this video is firstly compare these teachings of what he presents as Islamic teachings, compare that to Christianity. We have already done that. We've seen that the Bible contains, and whether they have an excuse or not, in reality, it contains way more violence and way more destruction on the part of God ordering that. And so we have already talked about. So how does it compare? We've talked about that. People can make their own decision on how it really compares, whether the Bible or the Quran, which one is really the more violent, if we're going to claim that they're both historical in our minds. The other thing is this: he wants people to get scared of the ramifications of people reading the Quran during this time. The reality is this: if he has the time, a doctor at that has the time, he's so concerned about crops, right? Think of this: the people over there who are really the lunatics. I'm not speaking about anyone except truly insane people who may be transgressing the bounds and killing people in jihad or doing anything like that. If we're just going to give it to him for the sake of argument that there are people cutting down crops, the reality is this: any good commander in this time who is not a commander of a army like the armies of America, we're speaking about the third world countries. What will they do when they come across crops? If they're planning on taking over a land, they're going to leave the crops there because they're planning on eventually conquering it. So the reality is this: if he was so concerned about crops, he would understand that in this time of hunger in the world, Muslims, even if they are insane, when they go to conquer a place, they're not going to cut down the crops. They're not going to be concerned with that. Rather, they're going to save it because they plan on conquering that place. They don't want to destroy things that they're going to eventually take as booty. So there's two things here. There's how does this teaching in his mind, the way he presents it, how does it compare in reality to his own belief? His own belief, as we've seen, if that's God ordering that in historical times, then he ordered a way more destruction that can ever happen from these Greeks here. And the other thing is the ramifications in this time. Really, are Muslims, to be watched now because they think that they're going to cut down crops? I would think that in reality they would need the crops more. So crops are not going to be touched in this day and time because people need it for food, and they would probably keep it for food.
Very good point, brother. And no, I don't know if y'all caught the last thing he said. Maybe it was crackling. But the last thing that he says, and I quote, he says, the Islamic State in America is commanding Muslims to start forest fires. Can you hear what he's saying? The Islamic State, for one, who the heck is the Islamic State? I've been a Muslim for over 32 years, and I've never come across any of these rascals. But he says the Islamic State in America is commanding, not suggesting, commanding Muslims to start forest fires. Where is that happening at? I mean, it's totally insane. It's absurdity, and it's proved. This is the type of person. That's why I wrote the book. These types of people. So Dr. Bill Warner and your followers. I mean, listen. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. You're hate mongering. You're trying to cause division amongst people. And I ask you why, plain and simply, why? What Muslims have come to you and tried to take anything from you? And if you don't you don't consider yourself an Islamophobe, let's analyze what a phobia is once again. A phobia, an irrational fear or aversion to something. And what are you fearing? You're fearing that Muslims are even coming to chop down your trees. All right, they're hiding under the bed. They're in the closet. They come and try to take over your way of life. This, they're enacting economic jihad by destroying crops and I mean, come on. This is a desperate attempt to try to undermine the truth and the beauty of Islam. Let me go to Brother Mukit in New York and see what he's got to say. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum assalam, Kenny, and how's everyone doing?
Alhamdulillah, brother. Did you watch the video when I played it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was driving, but then I rewatched it. Yeah, but I just had a point about the trees, right? About how in Mark chapter, this is New Testament, by the way. It's not Old Testament. It's a New Testament. Mark chapter 11, verse 12. Jesus curses a totally innocent fig tree for no reason. Yeah. Like it says, since we're talking about trees and everything. It says on Mark chapter 11, verse 12, it says, the next day as they were leaving Bethany, Jesus was hungry. Seeing in the distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to find out if it had any fruit. When he reached it, he found nothing but leaves, because it was not the season of figs. Then he said to the tree, may no one ever eat fruit from you again. And his disciples heard him say it. No, now, why would Jesus curse a perfectly fine fruit tree just because it wasn't in season? Meaning, there's a couple things. It says Jesus went to the fig tree not to give a parable, but because he was hungry. That's what verse 12 says. He didn't go to give a parable about because it gives bad fruit or anything. Jesus was hungry. That's why he went to the fig tree. Secondly, let's say it is a parable and the fig tree represents a human being, and he cursed it because if you give bad fruit, you're cursed by God. But that doesn't work either, because a tree doesn't choose when it gives figs or not. A tree, when it's automatically in season, it'll give fruit. Like I could choose to have children or not, right? Like Isaac Newton died a virgin, right? I could choose to have kids or not, but a fig or any tree for that matter doesn't choose to have fruits or not. It's automatic. If the time of fig, if the springtime comes or whenever time comes, it'll automatically have fruit. And Jesus didn't even know that it was out of season. It says because it was not this season for figs. Even let's say if he knew it was not the season for figs, why would he curse it?
Can I just add to that, Brother Makit? You see, they use this as a parable in comparison with the Jewish nation not abiding by God's law, and therefore it was a parable to show that God was punishing. But this goes against it completely, because the tree that Jesus cursed was actually acting, as you mentioned, rightly said, in season. So it was still obeying the will of Allah. If that tree had not given any figs in its season, then it would have been disobeying the will of Allah. You see, so this goes against them when they turn around and say that this was a parable regarding the Jewish nation. Number one. Number two, Christians will claim, well, he didn't know because it was a human nature. Yes, but what they're forgetting is when Jesus cursed the tree, that tree withered away. So it wasn't the human nature that cursed it. Well, it was a human nature that cursed it, but it was a divine nature that made it wither away. So are you then trying to tell me that the nature of the divine nature and the human nature comes on and off like switching a light bulb?
It's modalism.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, brothers, is Faisal knows this as well. By the way, salam alaikum, brother. That if this wasn't literal and like Christians claim, and it was something metaphorical or speaking about the nation of Israel, whatever it is, we know from the Talmud, the son of a rabbi, he prayed when there was no figs on a tree and it blossomed with figs. So if a son of a rabbi can pray and figs can just blossom, doesn't that make the son of a rabbi more superior than Jesus of the Bible? Think of it like this. Jesus of the Bible could not produce figs, yet this son of a rabbi prayed and figs came on. This is in the Talmud. This is what the Jews are saying. Now, Christians can say, we don't care what the Talmud says. Well, really don't care what the New Testament says. But if we was going to make a comparison, we can say, well, at least we have written literature from the Jews. They have something. You guys don't even have that. So that just kind of like demotes Jesus of being God just like that. Do you see how it works? So it's like a no-win situation.
Yeah, and even if he was God, 100% God of the hypostatic union, why didn't he just order the fig to come out?
Exactly.
Allah says in the Quran in Surah Al-Ma'idah, brother Fazl can continue. Surah Al-Ma'idah, when he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send down food, this is Ma'idah, food on the table, and when Allah asked him that if he does not believe, he said, it's not that we believe, we want food, and also like so the heart feels more content, though they were believers. I'm just paraphrasing here. Allah sent down food from the sky. So this is Jesus, Isa alayhi salam of the Quran, asking Allah, and Allah sent down food from the sky. And this itself you can find the traces of that when I believe in the book of Acts, Peter, he saw a vision where a cloth with 4 ends came down from the heavens with food on it. And then some of them wasn't lawful and all of that. But this is a vision that he saw. But we know in reality, the food did come down. But the New Testament offers again, they were confused what happened.
Yeah, and Mustafa, even in our tradition, we know that Miriam alayhi salam got fruits out of season.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is the mother of Jesus, right? Through Gabriel, but if we're talking about in season or out of season, she got fruits out of season.
But
so how can a 100% how can a 100% man God not command the fruit to grow?
Exactly, Akhi. But what was her response when Zakaria alayhi salam asked her, where did you get this fruit from? She said, Allah sent it down. So her response was, Allah gave it down. And amazingly, by the way, guys, we find in the Apocrypha Bible, Gospels, the Apocrypha, that Mary would find, an angel will come down and feed her. This is found in the Apocrypha, probably from the year 150 to 200. This wasn't a time where Muslims were living around that time and reading. Huh?
Is that the infancy gospel of Gospel of Thomas?
I'll get you because
the clay birds because the clay birds is from the infancy gospel, I think.
Well,
so
to
this
add
one
to
was,
that, yes, go ahead. Brother,
add, brother.
No.
Brother,
you were gonna say this is so yours was important.
Yeah, it was from the prototype of James, I believe, where it mentions about Mary and Mary's mother and Mary's father, Amran, and all of that. And it speaks about when Mary was being raised in the temple, she had Zachariah would come and visit her, and then he would see fruits. And he would say, where did you get all of that from? And she would say, an angel came down, or it would literally say that an angel came down and gave her fruit. And also, subhanallah, we read as well that when she was giving birth as well, a tree would bend down and give her fruit while she was like giving birth. So, things like that are mentioned in the Apocrypha. I think it's called the Prototype of James. I'll get it out. It's in my reference book, on my folder.
Now, here's
Carry
what
on,
I
brother.
wanted to say. An interesting problem, and I would be interested in knowing the reaction or the rebuttal of any Christians that we have here. The interesting problem with this is not not to talk about the theory of what could have happened, but what actually happened was, when, as far as a Christian is concerned, when God was actually on the earth showing you by example how you should behave with trees. How was God? Was he merciful? Did he give any indication of preserving plants, or was he just pretty much, if you get mad at it, you chop it down, you kill it? So the only example we have of their example, just like we have the example of Muhammad in his lifetime, their example, the only thing we have is when it comes to interacting with nature, is him killing a plant just because he was mad. So who really has the problem when it comes to even that aspect of it, preserving nature? The only example they have is him killing a plant for no reason. So it's kind of weird, but I would be interesting to.
Before we get too deep into any other topics, I want to show you gentlemen something, because that article or that video, that article that Dr. Bill Warner was making these false claims about was Greek City Watch, or Greek City Times rather, but it's in cahoots with. I'm going to show this because you got to see the headlines here. This is crucial and vital for anyone who. Muslims, non-Muslims alike. If you're not familiar with Jihad Watch by Robert Spencer, it's in cahoots with Greek City Times, and you brothers can see the and Jamie, you can see the screen right now. Okay, so notice Jihad Watch. It's Robert Spencer. Jerusalem, most mistake provokes a gleeful. Okay, say just watch what transpires here, just briefly. Just in time for Ramadan. Okay, we'll let it keep going. Everything's about Islam here. Everything's about Islam.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Robert Spencer's favorite. Yeah.
Muslims attack female doctor in Delhi hospital. Doctors hide as Muslim mob tries to break open the door. Okay, UK 43,000 terrorist suspects, 23,000 as previously claimed. Of course, they're talking about Muslims.
It's a load of lie, bro.
Yeah,
don't even go in Britain.
Yeah, Muslim migrant threatens cops with a knife. So what? If you scroll through this Jihad Watch, you'll see that this is blatant, extreme, propaganda from hate mongers that are trying to cause division. They have an agenda they're trying to fulfill, and from a large scale, from government officials to Dr. Bill in his living room pretending that.
Hold on, Kenny. What does it say? Iowa Republican candidate calls. Go down a bit.
Oh yeah, Republican candidate calls.
He calls for spreading redefining Islam as militant, cultural imperialism, seeking world domination. What?
Now, let me ask: has that guy ever debated? Does he have any debates or no?
I've challenged him. I've sent emails and he won't respond.
That's another That's another indication that he's not sincerely wanting to have a understanding, to learn, to be out there. He's only taking the opportunity to use the doctor in front of his name because he's not a doctor in Islam. He doesn't have a doctorate in Islam. He just uses the name. He reads something from the thing, and that's his little shot about, at
you mean
Islam.
from vblog?
But
you mean
true academics will have debates and not be afraid to talk about what they truly believe.
Notice that these articles, look at the dates, right? The dates. This is just yesterday. This is an ongoing every day, April 15th. April 15th. Look, but look at the number of articles.
Can I see that UK Muslim? Can you just go up for a second? What is a UK Muslim? There's a guy's picture in there. Let me have a look. What is a UK Muslim rapist? I can't read it because it's so small fonted. What does it say? Deportation was.
It says Muslim migrant rapist whose deportation was halted is set to be released despite real risk to the public.
And look, they add three description words. Wouldn't it have been enough? UK migrant, but they had to add the word Muslim. That's the
You know what?
difference.
I've not. You know what, bro? Honestly speaking, I keep up with the UK news
Does
more
he
than
look
any.
like a scholar or someone to?
Right next to it.
I haven't come across that report in UK of a migrant rapist like that, and I'm keeping up with the news left, right, and center.
Yeah, look what it says.
So,
Right next to it. Look what it says right next to it. Christians yet again denied.
Pakistan Christians yet again. Oh, for crying out loud!
Yet again denied food aid, coronavirus relief distribution for Muslims only. Are you kidding me? The Muslims are the one distributing the food. Alhamdulillah. I mean, my goodness gracious, it's just absurd. The 14th, just more nonsense. You know, just over and over and over again. Thursday on Muslim coronavirus, the Muslim response. You know, this is propaganda. You know, it's at its finest. That's the reason why I took time to write the book. Alhamdulillah. That's the reason why we're having discussion today and addressing these issues. You know, over and over and over again, fighting this ongoing battle against Islamophobia, and it's real. It's you know,
Brother, if these brothers had any fear of God in their heart, they would put at the end and the beginning of every one of these columns that this is only intended for education. We should treat our anything, bro. Look how many people can be radicalized just from this newspaper, just this one page, bro. It's article after article of just inflammatory nonsense. Whether it's true or not, you have to be wise.
Right, brother.
Things happen because of hate like that.
That's the whole content of my book, addressing this type of nonsense over and over and over and over again. It's disgusting to the point that the common man and woman begins to repeat the nonsense. That's why I say, brother, you know, I would say be a reader instead of a repeater. Don't just go with these 30-second sound bites, 3-minute videos that have told you 7 or 8 different fallacious, I mean, 7 or 8 fallacious claims, lies. I mean,
can I just add something in, my brothers, to everybody in the room? Is that okay if I just add something here? Can you hear me, brothers?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kenny, can you just raise the up show us this verse of the Bible on the screen if it's possible? Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 8. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 8, and give me an explanation of that. All of you brothers, including brother Ibn Anwar. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, let me bring it up. Bear with me 1 second.
Is brother Ibn Anwar there? Is he here? Yeah, he's here.
Bear with me 1 second.
Yeah, I'm here. What was the question again? Sorry, I just woke up.
Said assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Long time, my brother. I haven't heard from you.
Yeah.
You have a reverb behind you, bro. What's going on? What, you in a studio or something making a song?
No.
You've opened your own studio now.
No, it's a nasheed.
Oh yeah, alhamdulillah. Yeah, Jazak, brother Mukid, how's things in NY, bro? NYC.
Yeah, man, it's getting pretty bad. Like I guess we're gonna have at least like the UK, we're gonna have at least another 3-4 weeks of lockdown. The stores are all closed. You know, a lot of places they're rejecting cash. They only take credit cards.
Yeah.
The lines out of the stores, like, you know, it's a 1-2 hour wait for the lines.
Yeah.
They're limiting everything. So, and you know, a lot of people. I know one family member. It's a friend of a family, who her husband, who was maybe only like 50, 58, 54, something like that, 50 years old. He died. She's recovering from breast cancer, and they only have one child, a daughter, and the mother hasn't told the daughter yet that the dad's not going to come home, you know, and who knows what they're going to do with the burial, you know, because they're keeping things away. But it's a sad state when, you know, people aren't listening to orders and going out and, you know, shopping unnecessarily, you know.
Allahu Akbar, inna lillah wa inna ilayhi rajiun. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun.
Ecclesiastes 3:8.
Yes, sir. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Verily from hardship comes ease, from hardship comes ease. So this one was revealed to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I say it applies to us all, this verse, that verily from hardship comes ease, from hardship comes ease. Brother,
Isn't it with hardship comes ease? Not like after hardship, but with, it's like simultaneous. I think I've heard a Mumin Ali Khan tafsir of that.
Yeah, saying with every hardship there's ease, meaning if you study the tafsir, it's stating that in the midst of the hardship and the difficulty, for us to focus on the blessings that we have in the midst of it, and don't get overwhelmed. Don't be overwhelmed by the difficulty itself. But then begin to. Allah tells us to remember those less than us, meaning people that are in worse situations, and just try to put everything in perspective and not be overwhelmed by the difficulty.
So from with hardship comes ease. With hardship comes ease. So when we're in hardship, as like hardship will come, and there are times we can't. I don't think nobody, unless you're some elite level, like in some some government elite level. I don't know, but I'm just saying generally for the human people, we all have hardship, right? And with hardship comes ease. So from hardship will come ease. It will calm down. Sabr, inna Allah ma sabirin. Allah is with those who are patient. So what's your take on verse 8, my brother?
Bear with me 1 second. That's the other thing that the tafsir is explaining, in that with every hardship comes ease. It's also telling mankind to not get caught up in the issue that you're facing, the difficulty that you're facing, but realize that just like before, whatever difficulty that you've been in before, there's going to be there's light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to come out of it. So don't get overwhelmed by the difficulty. So it's the wisdom of Allah that's saying, in the midst of it, don't overwhelm yourself by the circumstances. Count your blessings in the midst of the circumstances, and also think back about other difficulties that you've been through, or other difficulties that you've seen other people go through, and they've come out of it, or you've come out of it. So don't be overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, because when you go through hardship, ease will come along with it. So patiently bear it, whatever it is, and let Allah take over it. But have faith in Allah, have your taqwa, and have your reliance upon Allah, your tawakkul, and Allah will take care of it. Inna Allaha ma sabirin ya ayyuhallazina amanu ista'inu bis-sabri was-salati inna Allaha ma sabirin. O you who believe, establish patience through prayer. Verily Allah is with those who are patient. Jazakallah khair. So what's your take on verse 8? Can you give me a commentary, Karim? Oh, Karim, do you want to say something, brother?
Yeah, I was going to say, were we done with the guy Bill Warner?
Yeah, we finished him.
Yeah. I wanted to say one thing. Lastly, just to put the nails in the coffin figuratively. This is the thing. When videos come like this, for Muslims or non-Muslims, because some Muslims get shaken up by it, you have to read between the lines. Ask yourself logically. Okay, there's a video of a doctor now, right, who's so concerned. He's so soft-hearted, right, because of crops. Think about this. If someone's so concerned about crops, how is his concern about human beings? So now he puts a video out that may result in the harm of innocent Muslims, because let's face it, the Christian, the extreme Christians in this country, not of course not all of them, and I would argue very few of them, the extreme amongst them, when they see things like that, it causes such a rage that they lash out at people in Walmart and in different places. And I got daughters who are going to be wearing headscarves. You understand? As a man, I can support myself, but this is dangerous. So read between the lines. There's plenty of clues to show you this man isn't sincere, so his information cannot be accepted.
That's the point that I try to make in the book, is that if I take this kufi off I'm not talking to you about Islam, and I just have a Texan's cap on my head, you have no clue that I'm a Muslim. And because of the color of my skin, I hear that type of bantering from common people, right? So what the brother is saying, it's check yourself. And the people who listen to this, inshallah, God willing, take heed to this, because this is a warning for you. We're trying to help you not become someone who has just an inner hatred that's been planted there by people who are purposely trying to cause division, who spend vast amounts of their time to try to cause division. Okay, so because of the color of my skin, I hear these comments. I can hear it, right? They may say it in front of me because I'm white, and I'm not. Let's put it. Let me clarify. I'm not trying to make every issue about white people, saying all the issues are about white people. But what I am saying is because I don't look like a typical Muslim, I will hear things being stated that they have no clue unless unless obviously they know I'm a Muslim by some way, and the things that are said are disgusting. Not long ago, I was across the hall from a man, and he's repeating things that Trump said, and he has no clue that I'm just right across the hall from him. I'm a Muslim. I'm the very one that he's talking about, and he's repeating some nonsense that Trump said. Right? He's just a common man, just going about his day, but he has this inner hatred for Muslims, not realizing that I'm right across the hall and I am a Muslim. Okay, but I don't look like it's a stereotypical Muslim, so it's not a big deal. He feels free to just say anything he wants to. That's just how it is. So Ecclesiastes chapter 3.
Chapter 3, verse 8. What's your take on it, Kareem, Ibn Anwar, Brother Mukit? I want you to hear what's your take on that. Chapter 3, verse 8. You read it out, brother.
Okay, yeah, it says a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace.
So when is the time for hate and war? If this is supposed to be love and peace, I can respect. What is it with the time of? So what is this verse trying to tell us? If we go to First Peter's, is it 3:16? All scriptures and doctrines are useful, etc., etc. What does that verse tell you?
Well, for any religious text, it's telling people to hate others. I mean, even as Muslims, for obviously the Quran doesn't tell us to hate anyone.
No.
We make a dislike for people like Dr. Bill Warner in particular that is an obvious enemy of Islam because he's made himself an enemy. Islam didn't make him an enemy. So let's clarify. So Islam didn't make him an enemy. He made himself an enemy of Islam. So that type of person, it's hard to have love in your heart for those people. But obviously, we're not supposed to hate anyone. So
So my take on this verse is, Brother Kenny, is that here the inspired word of God is telling us that there's a time to love, there's a time to hate, there's a time for war, and there's a time for peace. Now, if I was going to speak to a Christian and say, when is the time to hate? They're going to straight away tell me, no, we are not to hate, we're to love. If I say, when is the time for war? They're going to say, no, we can't have war. We're pacifist. We don't believe in war. We believe in love and grace and all of that. So what do we do with a verse like that? How do you counter a verse like that? How do you go around a verse like that when it's all words are inspired according to Psalms 119? According to Psalms 119, the words of God are eternal, and they never they are all preserved. So is that not a preserved word? And this is a problem. When a Christian or a non-Muslim, like a Christian or Jew, he would read a verse like that, he's being given this Holy Spirit energy now that he can hate. He can go for war because he's now given the God has given him the thumbs up now.
I got a question, brother Mustafa. Let's be real now. Wallahi, I swear by Allah, I do not know, and I've never met in my entire life a Muslim extremist. But I got a question for the Christians in the room. Have they or do they know anyone who expresses a unnatural, a maybe exaggerated hate for Islam because of videos like this? Do we have anyone? If Jamie can, I want her just to be honest. Does she know anyone or have heard anyone in her life expressing a rather troubling anger or hatred towards Islam? I've never met a Muslim who said, man, I hate Christians. Never. I want to ask Christians the serious question because wallahi, I'm scared in my own crutchy to wear this, to be outside with that. And for my family, like this is it's serious for us you know. And I understand the pain of other people if they're oppressed in other parts of the world. However, we have to, battle there and battle here also. I want to ask that question. Can anybody, express their thoughts on that question? Because it's funny. You would think that the way Muslims are portrayed, everyone would know some. If you're a Muslim, you would know at least one guy who was an extremist. So I've never in America never met a Muslim extremist. That's how far in between they are. But I can bet, because I've heard things myself walking around in the streets with my thawb on. I've heard things myself, and I would be more likely in urban areas more so than Brother Kenny. And Islam is more so accepted in urban areas, but you still hear stuff. You still hear some hatred.
Brother, I'm right here. I'm looking at buildings right here. I'm right here in downtown Houston. I live in this downtown area.
Assalamu alaikum. So I just came in, right? And unfortunately, I missed the whole conversation. Seems has passed. But would you mind sharing with me exactly what is the postulation of that person, that individual in the video that is being addressed with regards to
He said a lot
crops
of
and
not. He said a
Muslims?
lot of lies about Islam, about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam going into Ta'if with his companions, radiallahu anhum, and then chopping down trees for economic reason, and right hand possessing, right hand slaves for sexual reason and all of that, and he's just going on about his, and then he was using Robert Spencer's work basically.
Brother Ibn Anwar, I'll send the link. I'll post it in the chat, and it's about.
Well, I want to say in my area there are no Muslims. I don't know anyone who just has an extreme hate for Muslims, because we don't have any Muslims. And second,
but when the news comes on, what's the reaction?
Yeah, no, but Jamie, do you need Muslims in your area to hate them? Is that a requirement? I don't want to say so.
Well, that's not a requirement, but it's not in my face. So I don't know anybody who just goes around hating Muslims, because we don't have any. I mean,
would you agree that the general consensus amongst Americans who are non-Muslim, and kind of probably more so in your parts, not you, but I mean, the consensus would be that Muslims are not the best people to have in large numbers in this country. Would you agree that that's pretty much how people feel?
I mean, I can't speak for that. I don't really know, because, I mean, I'm just in my area.
That's how I
talk to
feel
people
sometimes, and I'm an American to the core. I consider myself a New Yorker. It's New York, and where I'm from comes up with a stranger before Islam. They don't even know.
Karim, who else is from New York here? Do you know?
I think, yeah.
Brother Mukeet.
Yo. It's in my name.
So as an American, I can say that if I put my finger to the pulse of America, I would definitely argue that more people have been affected negatively. And of course, there are some bad Muslims in the world, but it's become a thing where it's easy just to label everyone. And that's just the way we are as Americans, Arabs and Muslims are, they're okay, in small numbers, but people get scared just in general.
Alhamdulillah, Brother Karim, you made a great point there, that, and I feel afraid as well, being a Muslim, going outside, even in London, though, alhamdulillah, we have a vast majority of where I'm from, Muslims here, alhamdulillah. I still feel afraid, because we have got a lot of anti-Islamophobes here who are like, who try to vandalize masjid, if you know what I mean. They go around.
We've had that here. I'm pretty sure.
So what was that person actually saying about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam going to Taif and trying
the details. Okay, so here's the thing. He said basically he made reference to a news article of what he found to be some Muslims chopping down trees. Then he said right after that, he said, "What's the answer to why Muslims do what they do?" And then he said the answer is that everything they do is based upon what Allah and what Muhammad said. And then he goes in, which is a bad. It's just it's a blanket covering. Now every Muslim, whoever does anything in the world, your reference, if it's Bill, whatever this guy's name, then anything they do, no matter what it is, it's somehow related to the Quran, and so it's just a
But of
blanket.
course, we know that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that a person that cuts down a tree for no justifiable reason will be thrown into hell. And so, the Prophet Muhammad was one of the first environmentalists
Right. That's what I'm saying. And even if we gave them all the ammunition they wanted, and we just asked one historical question, would it have made sense for a person during that time to spearhead a movement to start chopping down trees when trees were such a high, they would rather take over a town and keep the trees afterward. So it doesn't make sense that he would spearhead a movement to start chopping down trees when in his context, it would make more sense for a general to keep the trees, take over the town and keep the trees for yourself. So
I mean, you don't have to have the experience of being in the desert to know that the greatest commodity there would be a plant. You
SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. It's amazing. Yeah, you're right. It just shows the how this doctor, he's been deluded by Robert Spencer and his other phony article writers on misleading or not even knowing the basic of ancient necessities that were needed in order for civilization or a town to survive, and so on. So I just find it incredible how he thought that he can say that on TV or on video and get away with it.
I mean, I just looked this guy up, and he was featured on Dave Rubin, so that just tells you all you need to know. Dave Rubin, this guy's a known Zionist, So who knows what kind of funding he's actually getting, and even if he's even doing it for himself, or if he's just like the face man, Yeah, because like, look, let me ask you guys a question: who here thinks that Christian Prince is actually a Christian? Nobody.
He's about to drop a conspiracy theory on us.
No. I'm saying he's most likely in it because I've watched a lot of his videos. He rarely brings up Christ or quotes Bible passages.
Hold on.
He's
Thank
99
you.
point.
Well, I've known him since before his YouTube time, when he first frequented Pal Talk. Even before I just knew him. Of course, I've spoken to him, and I'm not sure if I can say that he's not Christian, but of course his hatred for Islam and everything has to do with Islam is obvious to everyone.
That would definitely, if he was Israeli, that would explain his lack of understanding in Arabic, but his grasp of the smaller issues, the reading of the text, but just I don't know, but go ahead, brother. That's an interesting idea, though.
He's from Misr, right? He's Egyptian, right? And Egyptians do have this thing. Some Egyptian Christians are more. They tend to go towards the Israeli side. Even like what's his name? Sisi has got like Jewish blood in him. His mother was
Kareem, one of the things that he used to say when I spoke to him, the last time I spoke to him, of course he dotted me. And anyone here familiar with Pal Talk or ever used that platform? So the admins have the ability to like dot you, right? If they don't want you to speak, so you can't speak when you get dotted. So one of the things was one of his concerns was the Quran's supposed confusion between rahmat and rahmat. The word occurring with the ta maftuha with the ta marbuta, and he was saying that the Quran here is evidence of the Quran not knowing Arabic. So I was like, what the heck?
No, but no. He has a lot more going on with him than just plain ignorance, because I think he knows he's wrong, but he doesn't care anymore. He's just let go of all standards. So
he's benefiting from it. He's making he's got a lot of patrons on the Patreon account, And
Yeah,
that's what
I'm saying. He's using Christians for monetary reasons. You know, he's being funded by them. So why not be a Christian?
Let's put it in perspective. If he is a Christian, he's certainly not a very good one. I do know some Christians myself that I think they're very godly people. I think they're good people, and there's clear distinction between those types of people that are legitimate, God-fearing Christians that treat people with kindness and respect. They don't mind what you believe. They know what they believe. They don't attack you. This guy is a hate monger, and he's Abu Jahl.
But the brother has made a point though to say that
although
Christians
evangelistic
speak about
Christians,
Christianity. Say that
all the
again?
evangelistic Christians with love for Zionism and wanting Zionism to exist in order to, lay the carpet, so to speak, for the coming of Jesus, would identify him as the perfect example of a good Christian.
No, but I'm saying like even Zionist Christians, they've got Bible verses memorized, right? If I sat down with Christian Prince and I told him to, quote six Bible verses, he wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, Christian Prince's knowledge of Christianity is absolutely zilch, which is why he, in my encounters with him, he never dared to respond when an issue pertaining to Christianity is ever brings. He'll always go to the Quran. He'll always go to Islam. Yeah, you ask him about a Bible question, he'll bring you back to the Quran.
How about it?
Yeah, he
Ask him
doesn't
about
speak
Christianity,
about
he'll
the
bring you
Bible,
back to Islam.
Yeah, he doesn't speak about the Bible, and I've realized that as well, brothers. That whenever he's online, he never brings up the Bible. I haven't seen him like speak about the Bible. For some reason, it's like he shies off from the Bible. Either he doesn't know anything about the Bible, or he's not a Christian, or he's like something that he's hiding, and he has no knowledge at all. And it's amazing how he's trying to get away. And I think what he's trying to do is, this is what my understanding is. I think he's an atheist in that term, and what he's done, he probably was a Muslim, or his family were probably Muslims, maybe, and he just tried to shy away. That's why he doesn't want to show his face.
But
He wants to
have you
himself.
noticed that he's been around in the scene, in the circuit, in the debating circuit, if you acknowledge his presence anyway, for a while, and hardly any Arab actually ever takes the time to takes his time to address him. Do you know why? Because it's a joke. Have you heard him quote the Quran whenever he tries to quote the Quran? He can't read. He can't read. An Arab would be laughed off by another Arab if he tries to address someone who thinks that he can read Arabic but can't, right? He butchers Quranic verses left, right, and center.
But even not the same goes for his teacher though, Zachariah Butrus. When the Egyptian scholars, Egyptian scholars, they Muslim like Arabic teachers and scholars, they offered him for a platform debate, because after Zachariah Butrus made a big hoo-ha in Egypt, they actually, one of the scholars was, I forgot his name, I'll get his name, he actually offered him a debate and said, we'll have a one-on-one debate. But Zachariah Butrus said, no, I don't want to have a debate with you because the Muslims will be behind me and then they'll hurt me. And he said, I promise you and I give you assurance, no Muslim will touch you. I will get you security. I will be your security and I will have security with you. You sit down in front of me in a table and we'll have a discussion and I'll refute your claims in front of you. But he refused him. Zachariah Butrus is supposed to be...
long time ago.
Yes. Zachariah Butrus is the teacher of Christian Prince. Christian Prince is a baby compared to Zachariah Butrus.
Imagine after all these years of him defending his God, right? And he's putting all this time and effort. However, he doesn't have the simple faith enough to turn on his camera, not to appear in front of anyone, not to set up a live speaking, just to turn on the camera. Come on, like I can't take from a scholar who, it's some guy on Power Talk. Yeah, I've never seen him, don't know how he looks, where he's from, and nothing about him. He's my teacher. and people follow him. So that just tells you the state of. So
Well, and then they repeat that as well. We've had them on the show doing the same thing. Danny Davis doesn't want to turn on his camera. Devin doesn't want to turn on his camera. He's got his mask. He's got his face covered up. These are people.
I should be more, and Brother Kenny should be more afraid, because if they're acting as though any Muslims that surround them is their enemy, then we're surrounded completely by Christians at all times. So we should be more afraid.
So am I, bro.
Shut
So
off
am
the camera.
I mean, I'm surrounded by them as well, and I'm afraid at times, thinking how how they are. But I've shown my face, and the thing is that when we show our face, we're not saying anything, any lies like they are. What we're doing, we're trying to produce the truth in front of them. Now,
Yeah,
they can
we're trying to be
discuss about it
human
to us.
and
That's
show that this is a human speaking, with
Have you
real
guys heard of EF Dawa?
genuine feelings.
Who's that one?
Have you guys heard of EF Dawa, the channel?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
The Dawa channel, yeah. So I wrote a comment on their one of the latest videos they did, the downfall of Christian Prince, right? Talking about Brother Fareed and stuff like that. So I left a comment and I said, guys, please do not engage Christian Princess on his show by calling in. Trolls eat attention as food, so you'd only be feeding him.
Yes.
His tactics are disingenuous, and he'll fight tooth and nail to control the narrative till he agrees to Brother Fareed's challenge to an in-person and moderated debate. Let Fareed expose him through video refutation, inshallah. So Daniel Davis, who comes on the channel.
Yeah.
So he replied to my comment, right? And this is what he says. This is what Danny Davis says. He says, that's hilarious because that's exactly what your boy Kenny Bummer, not Bomer, he called you Bummer, does on his channel. And again, let it be stated, what does someone's face have to do with right and wrong? CP shows evidence for every single word he says, yet Fareed, Kenny, Mustafa, and all the rest of you Muhammadans make hundreds of claims and supply no proof whatsoever, just like your false prophet. That's what Kenny Davis said.
Oh man! Notice, would any one of us Muslims write while in the middle of refuting someone an insult, just "you idiot"? You should follow Allah, and you are an idiot, and this doesn't make sense. That someone would do
Mustafa, he insulted me.
I recall the first time Daniel Davis entered this room from YouTube, right? And he brought up a verse. What was the verse again, Mustafa? You were here as well.
I can't remember. What did he bring up?
The verse was about from water, wasn't it? Oh no, in pairs. That things come in pairs.
Yes.
Things come in pairs, and and he
an animal. How can a donkey come from? What's on?
That was after. That was after.
Yeah.
That was after. Yeah.
Okay, I think it was water.
Yeah. Was it water?
Yeah, it must have been water. He came up with 3 questions. He said he wants.
Yeah, the first thing, and of course he was refuted on that because I read to him the Arabic and I asked him because he was suggesting that everything comes from water, wasn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, he was just his CP. He got it from CP and basically last time he done the same as well. He was asking a question and he was like did you know that your because I was speaking about a verse and he said, did you know that your Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was poisoned? And I said, yes. He goes, do you want me to show you? Shall I get the hadith? I said, you don't have to. I've even written about it. He goes, no, but I can show you the hadith. I said, okay, you can. And then it's like he tried to make a point, but it only backfired on him. And he was like, so he was poisoned, right? And I said, yes, but what happened? Did the poison affect him straight away? But the hadith says that he felt the poison. I said, so the poison lasted 4 years? And so it's like everything that we said, it backfired on him. So
that was the guy. Okay.
Yeah, he left the room.
Mustafa, you want to tell them how you insulted me?
I don't remember insulting you, Jamie.
Yeah, yes, you did. What you called me, Christian Princess? Yes, you did.
Well, sorry.
No, I think that's not an insult. That's more like isn't that more?
Yeah, you were referring to Christian Prince.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, because she was talking. I
You
think we
were.
were talking about something, and I said, yeah, okay, Christian princess.
David
no.
said the
But
last.
Okay.
Jamie and Christian Prince are poles apart, right? And Jamie,
Yeah, how about
you're nothing like it. You're nothing like
Well,
it.
I have shown my face on video, so.
yeah.
That's fine, Jamie. You know what? We are allowed to marry a Christian, so I'll marry you. So that's fine.
Oh, there we go. Listen.
But Jamie, we wouldn't expect you to show your face because we know that this is not a dating platform. We fear that if you start showing your face, then people might come here not to talk about religion, but other things. You know.
Yeah, how about it? On both sides, and
We'll
that's
kick
the
'em.
problem. But
No, I mean, even in the times of coronavirus, I mean, Christian Prince can just wear a face mask, surgical face mask, or a niqab or something. You know.
I would respect if he made one video with a surgical. I would, at least that, because they say the eyes. You look that up in science. The eyes are very important. That's why, at the very least, if they black out your eyes, that's a form of concealing a person's identity.
Your eyes are the window to your soul.
Yes, true.
It's the lies, though. It's like like Brother Kareem has said, and he clearly said it that, and I agree with Brother Kareem 100%, and Brother Ibn Anwar as well, that when he says something regarding the Quran, he kind of he knows it's a lie, and he keeps on going at it, like he just bangs on it like it's the truth. And this is where the problem comes, Brother Kareem, and everybody here, NYC, and everyone. Why is he doing this? And Yahya, I forgot. Well, I mean, he keeps on going on with the same lie. Why?
It
He
has
gets
to
all
be a
angry. Then he says, "You donkey, you donkey. You are a donkey. You are a donkey. Get away from me. Call your mother to call me. Get your mother to call me. Boom.
It could
You're
be
off.
his
Who's
agenda
you
at the
can't answer me.
moment.
Muslim, you're a
But
donkey.
the
You're a
thing with a
donkey."
donkey, the thing with a donkey, the Quran says that Allah creates the donkey, and that Daniel Davis person apparently a recycling argument Christian Prince uses as evidence of Quran's ignorance, if you like, of science, that a donkey is not something that naturally came about, but it was man-made. I was like, what the heck?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine how low he went? So Christian Prince is saying when the Quran mentions donkey, Allah created a donkey. Donkey is not created, rather it comes from birth, meaning it's got a mother and then it comes from so and so. So how can a donkey be created by God? But
No, that the donkey was created by man through the breeding of different species. That is the argument, that it was through the intervention of man that it came about. So I said, it is through the intervention of man that we have cars and houses and everything. But the mainstream Muslim would say that your houses that you built, actually God created that. God creates everything.
Everything
but he
belongs
creates
to Allah.
asbab with which things are created. But God is the direct creator of everything. God is the creator of Zoom. He created Zoom. He created Paltalk. He created the internet. He created everything. Unfortunately, when Christians ignorantly try to argue against the Quran in this manner, they are actually saying that there's a general creator, and then there are lieutenant-like creators. So there are the creators besides the creator. And so the Quran would not be wrong in identifying them as those who associate partners with God, because they do.
Yeah, and when Allah says Allah is the best of creators, this is it.
Oh, that's another thing also. That Christian Prince tries to argue with.
Why creators?
Yeah, khaliqeen. So why? So there's al-khaliq and other khaliqs as well.
What did you respond back when he said that? Did he speak to you about it, or you heard?
I heard an argument.
I would suggest also, sorry to cut in, I would suggest also maybe if we get a chance within the next coming week to have a show like this for David Wood, because This old guy, I really think that he doesn't want to debate. He doesn't really want. But David Wood, you may be the one, Kenny Bomer, to get his attention because brother Akil has been trying to debate him so long. He for some reason he's created a narrative in his mind. I think against brother Akil. I don't know why he hasn't accepted but maybe you would be the one that he's going to underestimate. He's going to say, well, I guess this is a new guy. I can take him on. He's not gonna defeat Brother Akil. So maybe we can address him and he'll see the video eventually.
Yeah, can you hear me right now? I had an opportunity, I guess in November, whenever the ISNACON was, I was one of the featured authors that had a booth there, and I was one of the featured authors there doing a book reading. But I was dealing with ISNACON all weekend, but he happened to be in this area, just right outside of Houston. I think it was in Navasota, about an hour and a half away. And he was giving some speech at a church, and he was going to be preaching the next morning or doing something the next morning. And I had the opportunity. I could have went over there, and I had every intention. I planned all that day to go over there and to engage him, but I was so tired, I didn't do it. And another thing was that I was because I was tired. I didn't want to go over there and be irritable. I didn't want to go over there and I want to go over there and be in my correct mind, my right mind completely, and not be sleepy and not be tired and all those things.
Yeah.
But brother, I've been approached by other people who've made the same suggestion, and I believe by the will of Allah, I believe that it'll happen eventually, inshallah. That is one of my plans, and so yeah, we can try to do a show, inshallah.
Yeah, because I fear that even though we've totally destroyed this guy, he doesn't even care. He's at the point in his life. You could just see in the video. He says it at the end. This isn't even his information. He's like, I just get this, but he doesn't care. He's not really interested in.
He's not interested. You know why? Because if you check their Patreon, right? Check their Patreon account, and like Christian Prince, they have hundreds of patrons. And these guys, matter of fact, I think on David Wood's thing, it says that he's making $6,000 something a month on his patrons, right? And so he's good. He's good. He's going to keep doing and putting out product. Creating these ridiculous.
In the English-speaking world, there's none parallel to him. There's few. So yes, he's going to make money because he's in a niche group of people, and there's quite a few. There's not, when they're together, there's a lot, amongst the extremists and Christians. So yeah, they pay him because that's the only one they find that's on the front line like that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I mean, it's
him, Robert Spencer. There's a few, but you understand they have money. That's not a problem with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mustafa, just very quickly on your question, what's the response for Allah being the best of creators, right? Well, the Quran doesn't only say that Allah is the best of creators, and somewhat apparently suggesting that there may be other creators besides Allah. The Quran also says that Allah is the most merciful among those who also show mercy, the most merciful among those who are merciful. 4 times, I think, in the Quran. The Quran says that.
Yeah.
So there's Allah who is most merciful. Then there are those in His creation who are also merciful.
And you can tell
the
that
difference,
you have. Yes.
Yeah, the difference between that, those who are merciful and Allah who is the merciful, is that these ones who are merciful are only merciful in a derivative sense. They are only merciful in a way that can be described as majaz only, metaphorical, that we are creators also when we create cars and the houses or whatever that we create, a pen, only in a way that is metaphorical, insofar that everything is contingent.
Yes.
Yeah, everything is contingent on God's direct intervention. God is ultimately the only creator. You create only because Allah wants to create. So we get cured, for example. It is standard Muslim aqidah to know that when we take paracetamol, it doesn't cure us of the headache that we have. We know that Allah is the one that is actually giving us the cure. But we take that because we know that this is the sabab by which Allah does it. That in His mercy, in His wisdom, He chooses to do it through particular means.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that that Allah is He's the only one who's able to create ex nihilo, from nothing. You know, so what we do is when we say creation, all humans do is remanufacture, right? So even something like the ISS, the International Space Station, we didn't really create that from nothing. We remanufactured things that are already in place within nature, right? So Allah, you know, He gives a challenge in the Quran, says, create a fly if you can. You know, something as small as a fly. And I remember watching, I think it was a Muhammad Hijab video where he said, is a podcast where he says he was watching a video by an atheist who said that maybe in a couple of thousand years, we'll be able to create our own universe. You know, this is like the extreme arrogance from the atheists saying, you know, maybe in 1,000 years, we'll be able to create our own universe. Allah says, hold up, you don't even forget about the universe. Just create a fly first, you know, from nothing, ex nihilo. You know, so Allah is the only one who's actually a creator. Everything else we just remanufacture. You know.
Yeah, but isn't it the same as saying? Isn't it just to add, brothers? Isn't it the same as saying in Psalm 86:8 where it says, "Among the gods there is none like unto thee, O Lord." Among the gods. So, like, even the Bible is referring to there are gods then here and there, and it's many places like that. So, but we don't literally a Christian doesn't say, oh, you know, there may be more gods than the God. They say, no, there are no other gods. There's only one God, according to their, you know, understanding. What the Jews would say. So I think Christian Prince really needs to drown himself in shame. That's what I say.
And he keeps bringing up this donkey thing. You know, it's I think he was like inappropriately touched by a donkey. You know, I feel like, you know, he needs to be on the stand and, you know, and you know, show me on this doll where this donkey touched you. You know, because he keeps bringing up this donkey stuff. And before that, what did he say? He says, "I'm a scholar." You know, people can't proclaim themselves scholars. Scholarship requires a degree. You know, I'm a self-appointed Jedi.
Scholars do not scholars don't go you know, do not go around and identifying themselves as a scholar. They might in a particular instance where they need to clarify their position if they are questioned. Like, for example, that person, what was his name again? Aslan, Reza Aslan, when he was being grilled by a Fox News anchor, that made headlines. The anchor, apparently an evangelist.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, was questioning his right to write a book on Jesus. And so Reza Aslan, after being asked that question again and again, had to, you know, list down his credentials saying that he's a scholar. So in that particular situation, a scholar would actually say he's a scholar. But otherwise, you would not expect a scholar to be going around saying, yeah, I'm a scholar, you know.
Was that Pamela Geller he was being interviewed by?
Yeah, Geller, that person.
Pamela Geller. Yeah, I've seen that video.
Oh, and Mustafa, with respect to the Bible saying that there are other gods, the other Elohim, this is true. If you ask a biblical scholar, what exactly is the biblical worldview with regards to the existence of other deities besides Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, Hashem? And they will say that, yeah, the Bible actually recognizes their actual existence, in that the Bible is henotheistic. The Bible conveys a henotheistic theology, philosophy, that there is one God, but there are other gods besides, that the Israelites actually believed, as the Bible would portray them as being so, believed in one particular God, in derogation of other gods which were there that they had to resist and fight against.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, a pantheon of gods.
Yeah.
Demigods?
No, not demigods, in that they were actual gods, but their own god was supreme, so that they had to prove in the battlefield by, that's why they went against the Canaanites when they were ordered to go against the Canaanites, and when they triumphed over them, then they were saying, hooray, yeah, our God is greater than yours. Not actually saying your God doesn't exist.
Right,
Let's
yes.
worship the one that exists. No, it's that our God is greater, yours is smaller.
Wow. That's I didn't understanding in yeah, subhanallah. See what I mean? So like I said, this is a problem with our Christian friends, that when they delve into such topics, they first need to understand what their scriptures say before getting into any other religious text. And Christian Prince, he doesn't have a clue, like brother said, about his own faith. Definitely not. Guarantee. I'm doubtful as well if he is a Christian.
Yeah, I'm 110% sure he's an atheist.
Yeah, he's definitely. Yeah, I think so as well. I kind of had that in my mind. He's not a Christian. But you know what makes me laugh again, guys? This is something I was telling Jamie. And I said, look, so all the Christians around the world, so do we, oh, we actually have, look, a Christian Prince in the room. Kareem, are you on mute, bro? If you want to take Kareem off mute, brother Kenny.
What's that? Christian princess? Is that Jamie?
Is it princess or prince?
No, it says
Prince.
Prince the donkey.
Prince donkey.
I don't think that's a I don't think that's a Christian. I don't think.
Who are you?
But okay, yeah, I lost what I was gonna say. No, I was gonna mention that you Ibn Amr were mentioning that concept that certain people have. Am I heard?
Yes.
Yeah.
That certain people may have this concept when they read verses like Allah is the best of creators, because I've seen that argument before. So I guess some people may try to use that and say this is the psychology of the people of the past, in that they had the high God and other gods who create. Now the thing is this. What does the Quran actually say? The whole text, if we take the whole text into consideration, you have verses that say, if you're going to take that verse at least as a possible, that possibly there are other creators, then let's ask, who created all things? Does the Quran declare that God created all things, or does God create some things and other people create some things? So, Allahu khaliqu kulli shay. The Quran clearly makes a clear statement about the past, at the very least, for the non-Muslims, that God, Allah, created all things that existence are from God. Therefore, that verse of Allah being the best of creators, we have to understand that, like brother Ibn Anwar said, this is a metaphorical, because we may experience a human as creating a nice building. In reality, that was only by the ordainment of God. Therefore, God is the ultimate creator, having created the substance of the building in the beginning, and also allowing humans to have knowledge and build on that substance. So it's only how we experience that other people may be termed metaphorical creators. However, God created all things, as the Quran says, and in reality, He is the ultimate creator. That's the worldview.
Well, it reminds me of the people of Thamud that they carved their houses and out of the mountains into the mountains, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just simply turned it to dust. So even the greatest creation of mankind, I mean, obviously, look up, Allah hung the sun and the stars and the moon. I mean, obviously, so for someone even to make this claim, and it goes back to Danny Davis in regards to that donkey issue. I mean, to imply that, I mean, literally everything that we see, mankind has created nothing that we're laying our eyes on right now, nothing. Mankind has not created it unless Allah created something for that manufacturing to take place. Nothing that we see. And so for someone who's a believer in a creator, I can see if an atheist is making some kind of ridiculous argument, that's common. But for another believer, someone who's supposed to believe in a creator, to try to use some type of an argument and try to imply that, the whole donkey issue, mankind made the donkey, and it's completely absurd. Mankind can't make anything without Allah providing the things that we have as resources in order to create nothing. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So,
well, I invited some Christians to come in, but let's see if they're going to reply to me. But they said that they would come. Like one guy here, about two people I'm waiting to see.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's end this show. We're going to go to the after show. We've been on for about 2 hours and 45 minutes. And so we'll go ahead and end this particular show. No one needs to leave the panel. I'm just going to stop the live feed on YouTube, and then I'm going to bring it back up for the after show. So inshallah, we'll get some other people in, some Christians, maybe even some atheists. They keep badgering me and antagonizing me on Facebook. We'll try to get them in as well. So, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. My name is Kenny Bowman. This is Kenny Bowman Live on Consider This TV, where truth is made clear from falsehood. And I'd like to thank everyone who's joined the panel, who's obviously dealing with Dr. Bill Warner and his erroneous claims as absolute lies, as a matter of fact. I've got, a list of 7 lies that he told in the midst of his video. So when the antagonists come, I encourage you to be readers instead of repeaters. Don't just repeat the nonsense that you're hearing, but from Christian Prince and David Wood and Dr. Bill Warner and all these Islamophobes. Go directly to the sources. Come and ask a Muslim. If you have a question on your mind you want to ask us, well, come click on the link and come do so. Come to the source, inshallah.
And before you end the feed, with regards to that person who brought up the allegation that Muslims have this audacity to desecrate trees for whatever reason, let's make it clear that Muslims are actually commanded to love trees. So if we look at the rules of engagement in Islam, that even in a proper battle, in a war that is let's say legitimate according to the Sharia, we are not allowed, even in the midst of that situation, to bring down trees unnecessarily. So that Abu Bakr, the first rightly guided caliph, forbade such a thing. نهى أبو بكر الصديق رضي الله عنه أن يقطع شجرا مثمرا أو يخرب عامرا وعامل بذلك المسلمون بعده. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu forbade people from cutting down trees that can bear fruit or from destroying buildings in the context of war, even in the context of war, and the Muslims abided by his instructions after that. This is narrated by Imam at-Tirmidhi in his Sunan, his Kitab as-Siyar.
Okay, and so we'll end. I brought up on my screen the hadith, Sahih Bukhari, volume 4, book 52, hadith number 257, narrated by Abdullah. During the Prophet, a woman was found killed. Allah's apostle disapproved the killing of the women and children, and I advise you 10 things. Do not kill women or children or an elderly person or an infirm person. Do not cut down fruit trees. Do not destroy an place. Do not slaughter sheep or camels except for food. Do not burn bees and do not scatter them. Do not steal from the booty and do not be cowardly. So with that being said, truth is made clear from falsehood. I do bear witness there's no God other than Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his final servant and the seal of all prophets. And this is Kenny Bowman Live once again. Consider this TV where truth is made clear from falsehood. We're going to go into the after show for anyone that wants to join. The feed will be going back up on YouTube. Simply click the link. If you see the link on Facebook or on YouTube, click the link, come and join the panel, and join in on the discussion, inshallah. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.